to exercise caution. Boom. A towering figure manifested behind him, radiating an overwhelming aura of the celestial path. The form of the Dharmakaya bore an uncanny resemblance to Ji Xian, adorned in flowing white robes with long, cascading black hair. The complete essence of a true immortal's power. How could this be? The celestial monarch Cheng Zhe was taken aback. It was utterly incomprehensible. Ji Xian had already transcended the limits of the cosmos in the imperial realm. What on earth was this Dharmakaya of a true immortal? It was astonishing, truly. If he had yet to ascend to immortality and possessed such strength, what would transpire should he enter the realm of immortals? The consequences would be catastrophic, leading to the obliteration of the universe behind him. With an army of 3,000 divine demons, celestial monarch Cheng Zhe surged forth, his foot striking the river of time, sending forth tumultuous waves. Ji Xian summoned the array of killing swords, for crimson blades hovering around him, their blood-red glow staining his white garments a dark crimson. In an instant, a vision of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood emerged, blanketing this stretch of the river of time. I am the Heavenly Emperor, destined to suppress all adversaries in the world. His hair stood on end, exuding an unparalleled aura, while the imperial shadow loomed like a mountain at the entrance of the cosmos, shielding the populace behind him. Boom! A collision of celestial proportions erupted, the shockwaves severing the entire river of time, rewriting the histories of countless great worlds in that fleeting moment. Moments later, celestial monarch Cheng Zhe was hurled from the epicenter of the explosion, bloodied and battered, his limbs mangled. The four killing swords awakened, reminiscent of living demonic entities, reducing the quasi-immortal king to a mere husk. Boom! Ji Xian wasted no breath on idle talk, bringing down the array of killing swords with decisive force. The overwhelming intent to kill transformed into a crimson gale, slicing through Cheng Zhe's form. With each thrust, blossoms of blood erupted, as the vitality of the quasi-immortal king was mercilessly siphoned away. The array of killing swords seemed almost sentient, greedily drawing forth the essence of life from the quasi-immortal king, transmuting it into countless threads of murderous intent stored within the array. Enough! Ji Xian brandished the black dragon tyrant spear, aiming directly at Cheng Zhe's brow. In an instant, the vast forehead shattered into countless fissures. Cheng Zhe, overcome with excruciating pain, summoned the last vestiges of his strength. Rising to address Ji Xian, do you believe that by killing me, you can eliminate all future threats? Your name is inscribed upon the celestial god steel, obstructing the path of all immortal kings. Given the right opportunity, others will come to slay you. Then I shall slay them all. Ji Xian tightened his grip on the spear, cold and merciless, piercing through the head of celestial monarch Cheng Zhe. The massive form disintegrated into a cascade of radiant light, cascading into the river of time. In another corner, a golden silhouette materialized, hands clasped together, with Sanskrit symbols emanating from his form. Who? Ji Xian turned abruptly, only to find the direction devoid of any presence. Without lingering, he turned towards the temporal node that connected to the realms of heaven and earth. Chapter 440. The realm of immortals parting the clouds. Ji Xian re-entered this world, matching the strength of a true immortal against a quasi-immortal king. A feat worthy of praise from all. The golden path unfolds as Ji Xian strides forth from the depths of the cosmos, emerging into the sight of all. The celestial emperor. All races bow in sincere submission. The recent battle was too horrifying, and without this emperor of the Tao sect, the 9 heavens and 10 lands would have perished. Whether confronted by dark turmoil or the onslaught of immortals, the heavenly court stands resolutely at the forefront, valiantly safeguarding all. We pledge our lives to follow the celestial emperor. Across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, shouts resonate from various universes, predominantly from the lords of sacred lands, sovereigns of their realms. They loyally join the heavenly court, becoming subjects beneath the emperor's throne, returning to the heavenly court. The vast divine sound reverberates throughout the universe, a beam of sword light piercing the heavens, penetrating the hidden remnants of the celestial emperor concealed in the mountains, as Ji Xian's figure vanishes among the clouds. He departs from the ancient earth of Shengu, ascending to the 9th heaven, arriving in the universe where the azure sky is situated. In the distance, the celestial palace looms large, with clouds and mist stretching endlessly, adorned with magnificent auroras that traverse the celestial expanse. This is the headquarters of the Imperial Alliance. Celestial Emperor, you have arrived. A deep voice emerges from within. Subsequently, a celestial mirror materializes, its surface shimmering with light, opening a portal to another world, beckoning Ji Xian to enter. Ji Xian ponders for a moment, his body transforming into a beam of golden light as he flies into the grand world within the mirror. Inside, the terrain is flat and expansive, with vast grasslands stretching as far as the eye can see, the sky a brilliant blue, infused with celestial energy. At the center lies a lake spanning millions of miles, with colorful waters flowing in the breeze, emanating a misty haze. Suddenly, the surface bubbles, and a colossal entity breaks through the water. It is a massive black turtle, robust and immense. This undoubtedly is an ancient relic, having lived for millions of years, its eyes reflecting the passage of time and the rise and fall of myriad worlds. The immortal who once sacrificed for the 9 heavens and 10 lands still survives. A most astonishing revelation. Jixin remarks. The great Emperor Zhenwu chuckles, extending a claw to tap twice on the shell of the giant turtle behind him, stating, "It is merely a testament to resilience. Our Xuanwu lineage possesses an ancestral technique of substitution, allowing us to escape calamities in the past. Your talent surpasses the heavens. Being able to confront the immortals even in the realm of emperors is indeed remarkable." In the distance, the literary emperor appears, waving his sleeve as a tea table manifests before Jixin, steam rising from the teacup. Jixin nods slightly, taking a sip. Did you come to inquire about the battle of the ancient era and learn of the immortal domain? The great Emperor Zhenwu inquires. Indeed, I wish to understand the true nature of the battle of the ancient era, as well as your insights regarding the immortal domain, Jixin affirms with a nod. He still recalls the sentiment of the heavens have a duty, giving birth to Zhenwu, and the unyielding despair contained within the phrase the Tao is boundless, severing my path to immortality. Sensing the profound hopelessness the great Emperor Zhenwu experienced back then. Alas, the great Emperor Zhenwu sighs, then begins to recount. Before the ancient era, the immortal domain flourished immensely, with numerous immortals standing tall, each governing a realm, protecting the populace, and bestowing blessings upon the world. At that time, the cultivation realms were classified as true immortals, quasi-immortal kings, and immortal kings, with the 10,000 realms collectively venerating the immortal kings as the supreme rulers of the myriad worlds. The immortal kings are extraordinarily powerful beings, said to possess the ability to forge dimensional universes, govern the myriad paths of existence, alter causality, and command life and death. There are whispers that a realm beyond the immortal kings exists, known as the immortal emperors. However, such claims remain unverified, for the immortal kings already stand at the zenith of all realms. Moreover, having attained such heights, no immortal king is willing to concede the existence of beings more formidable than themselves. Everything proceeded in this orderly fashion until an astonishing path emerged, shocking the ages. At this juncture, the true martial emperor's breath grew heavy, as if recalling a grave matter. A path? Jixin inquired. After regaining his composure, the true martial emperor continued. Indeed, a path known as the Path of Creation. Upon its emergence, it captured the attention of several immortal kings. For whispers of a higher level of power emanated from this path. The immortal kings employed their formidable powers to divine the secrets of the heavens and arrived at a startling conclusion. Traversing this path might grant them the opportunity to ascend to the legendary realm of the immortal emperors. This revelation drove them to madness. The immortal kings began fervently striving to refine their mastery of the myriad paths, seeking to transcend their current state. Ultimately, they discovered that the results were insignificantly subtle, for these immortal kings were already the pinnacle of existence, making further advancement exceedingly rare. Yet, they were unwilling to relent, firmly believing in the veracity of the information conveyed by this path. In their desperation, the immortal kings gazed upon the flourishing realms and harbored nefarious intentions. Is this the origin of the dark upheaval? Jixin pondered, connecting the dots. The true martial emperor nodded, responding, indeed. Devouring the essence of living beings is the swiftest method for cultivation advancement. Driven by desire, the immortal kings forsook the flourishing realms, transforming them into a hellish abyss. They sacrificed one realm after another, nearly extinguishing all life, including the celestial beings of various worlds, who also became their sustenance. Amidst this backdrop, the celestial beings from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, along with those from the outer cosmos, united to resist the brutality of the immortal kings. However, in the face of absolute power, all efforts proved futile. Among us, the mightiest being, Jixin Yuan, a quasi-immortal king, was struck down by an immortal king with a single blow, his soul scattering to the winds. The remaining celestial beings also succumbed to the dark upheaval, meeting their demise. While I survived only by employing the death substitution technique, albeit at the cost of plummeting to the peak of the feathering realm, with no hope for further advancement. With the destruction of the immortal domain, the great worlds became devoid of immortals. Not only was the path to immortality severed in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, but the same fate befell other realms. Those who remained in the immortal realm were solely the immortal kings and their subordinates. Ultimately, the 9 heavens and 10 earths managed to endure, eluding the immortal king's calculations. Upon hearing this, Jixin comprehended the entirety of the situation. In their pursuit of higher realms, the immortal kings sacrificed the lives of countless beings, while the celestial beings of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, alongside those from the outer cosmos, valiantly offered their lives to preserve this world. He could not help but sigh. This dark upheaval was not a consequence of the grand forces of heaven and earth, but rather a manipulation orchestrated by the immortal kings themselves. Even if they do not physically arrive in this realm, their formidable presence can shatter the eons and reverberate through every corner of time. Indeed, there has never been any natural disaster in this world, only calamities wrought by humanity. My friend, are you preparing to depart from this realm and ascend to the celestial domain? Inquired the true martial emperor. Jixin nodded affirmatively, stating, One day I shall ascend. It will not be long now. The path to immortality has been severed. How do you intend to ascend? Jixin replied. If the path is blocked, I shall forge my own. Truly, one worthy of being called the Heavenly Emperor possesses remarkable resolve. The true martial emperor attempted to clasp his hands in salute, but upon realizing his limbs were too short to reach across, he quietly lowered them. It is time for me to depart. I have gleaned enough from here. As for the rest, I shall resolve it myself. Jixin drained the tea from his cup and rose to leave. Take care. I wish you success. The true martial emperor bid him farewell. I too hope to see you again in several millennia. Jixin replied with a smile. You need not worry, despite having lived for over 10 million years. In terms of the lifespan of the Xuanwu, I am still quite youthful. The true martial emperor grinned widely. Haha. Jixin laughed heartily, leaving behind only a silhouette as he exited the mirror realm. Chapter 441. Blood of the Barbarian God. Disciple recruitment task refresh in the vastness of the heavens. Clad in white, stood alone at the pinnacle of the cosmos, his gaze profound, surveying the entirety of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It has been 2,000 years since he vanquished the obliterated Forbidden Zone and slew the immortal Lord Qingze. During this time, the heavenly army launched a full-scale assault, uniting various powerful factions to eradicate all ancient beings hidden in the shadows. From this day forth, the 9 heavens and 10 earths are devoid of ancient tribes. The heavenly court now wields absolute dominion over the world, marking the end of an era of fierce competition among myriad factions. As the current 9 heavens and 10 earths exhibit a flourishing trend of rapid development. At this moment, Jixin could not help but feel a sense of loneliness. These 19 great universes no longer have adversaries. Buzz. The sound of a sword resonated, jolting Jixin from his reverie as he retrieved the red dust sword box. Drawing forth the sword of slaying immortals, Qiong's figure materialized, her green gown elegantly accentuating her graceful silhouette, her eyes still heavy with sleep, clearly just awakening. You have finally awakened. Well done. You have ascended to the pinnacle of divine artifacts. Jixin nodded. Qiong rubbed her eyes, startled at the sight of Jixin before her. Young master, you have become an immortal? She stammered. Jixin shook his head, saying, not yet. That cannot be. Your body clearly harbors the essence of immortality. How can you not be an immortal? Qiong expressed her bewilderment. In the next moment, realization dawned upon her. And she remarked, I understand now, young master. You have transcended into an elusive realm, blurring the lines between the emperor and the immortal. Jixin chuckled. What a notion. An emperor is an emperor, and an immortal is an immortal. The two are worlds apart. How could their boundaries be blurred? Qiong replied, as the spirit of the artifact. I sense that you have entered a remarkably esoteric state, which can be regarded as an alternative form of ascension. Jixin shook his head, opting not to elaborate further. He then broached the subject of the Sword Emperor. Have you encountered him? Qiong inquired, a glimmer of hope in her expression. It was the Sword Emperor who had created her back in the day, and she harbored a unique affection for this once mighty heavenly emperor who had reigned over the 9 heavens. In this life, he had reincarnated as an immortal herb, remaining in a world known as Xiangu. Perhaps, millions of years hence, in another dimension, in another universe, we may yet meet again, Jixin remarked. Reincarnation, does it truly exist in this world? Qiong's eyes glazed over as she murmured. So, young master, are you about to ascend? She inquired immediately after. Jixin replied. The path to the immortal realm has long been severed, and we now exist within a separate space-time. Ascending is no trivial matter. However, there will always be a way. I am not in haste. After conversing for a while longer, Jixin put away the red dust sword box. With a flicker of thought, the surrounding space swiftly transformed, revealing the location of the Heavenly Court's headquarters, Xianzhou. Boom. Near Mount Jinyun, a furious thunderstorm descended, with each bolt of lightning as robust as a soaring dragon. Above the sea of clouds, phantoms of ancient beasts emerged, each more ferocious than the last, baring their claws and fangs as they lunged at those undergoing tribulation. Dai sat cross-legged at the center of the storm, his blood surging with vigor, as myriad ancient savage beasts manifested behind him, engaging in a fierce battle against the lightning beasts. Indeed, he was on the brink of becoming an emperor. Jixin gazed toward that direction and nodded, then proceeded toward the Heavenly Emperor's palace. Before the palace, the Howling Sky Dog and the lazy husky lounged comfortably in the sun. Suddenly, the Howling Sky Dog jolted, its fur bristling. It raised its head sharply, only to find Jixin seated beside it, fiddling with a 5-colored sparrow. You sleep quite soundly. What if a thief were to steal my Heavenly Emperor's palace? Jixin teased. The Howling Sky Dog chuckled, stammering, Heavenly Emperor. Who in the 9 heavens would dare to steal your possessions? In the midst of this flattery, it abruptly kicked the husky on the head, but to its surprise, the foolish dog remained as unresponsive as a dead pig. Jixin remarked, there are indeed thieves. Take the Underworld Mountain, for instance, which has yet to convey any friendly sentiments to me. Is that not the heart of a thief? The Howling Sky Dog's expression shifted, beads of sweat forming on its brow. It couldn't help but wonder if Jixin was about to hold it accountable, perhaps sending a warning to the Underworld Mountain. Gazing into Ji Xian's cold eyes, it felt a genuine fear. Just as it was about to defend itself, expressing loyalty to the heavenly court, the slumbering husky rolled over, mumbling in its sleep, "One day, this dog shall climb step by step to the pinnacle, treading upon the underworld mountain, stepping on the heavenly court. To become the mightiest dog of all. I shall make all dogs in the world look up to me." The howling sky dog exclaimed, "You wretched creature." Ji Xian burst into laughter. He pointed a finger, unsealing the cultivation seals on both the husky and the howling sky dog. The aura of an ancient emperor instantly radiated outward, enveloping the surroundings. Huh. The howling sky dog blinked in confusion, raising its front paw, utterly bewildered. The husky, still in a dream, awoke, rubbing its head and muttering, "How peculiar. Why does my head itch so? Am I about to grow a brain?" Ji Xian inquired of the celestial dog. "The kingdom of Yellow Springs is located in the underworld mountains, is it not?" After a brief hesitation, the celestial dog nodded and replied, "Indeed. There is no longer anything to conceal, and I do not fear any repercussions from the underworld mountains for revealing this information. Ji Xian has the power to subdue even the celestial beings. Thus, no matter how mysterious or formidable the underworld mountains might be, they pale in comparison." "How much do you know?" Ji Xian continued to question. The celestial dog responded, "To speak frankly, you have inquired of the right individual. As the ninth palace master, my duty is to guard the entrance to the kingdom of Yellow Springs. It is the greatest secret realm of the underworld mountains, and even I, as a palace master, possess scant knowledge of it, only that it is related to the emperor of Fengdu. Typically, only the first and second palace masters have the privilege of interaction with him. Others remain completely uninformed. It is said that celestial beings are interred there, but the specifics are beyond my grasp." A glimmer of iridescence flickered in Ji Xian's gaze as he momentarily pierced the celestial dog's consciousness, realizing he spoke no falsehood. Observing the electric energy surging from both the celestial dog and the other canine, Ji Xian nodded and said, "That will suffice. Proceed with your tribulation." Immediately, the two dogs dashed out joyfully, and a thunderous roar erupted, shattering the distant mountains. In the skies above, the ES tribulation had concluded, and he had officially ascended to the status of an emperor. Ding! Detection of disciple.e transcending the tribulation to become an emperor, rewarding the host with one lottery chance. The technique, Xianwu Emperor Sutra, is undergoing enhancement. Subsequently, a stream of ancestral energy manifested within Ji Xian's primordial core, continuously spreading throughout his limbs. This was an immensely potent force that had repeatedly aided him in overcoming formidable challenges and vanquishing powerful foes. After absorbing the ancestral energy, the myriad divine trees became even more resplendent, trembling as numerous ripe fruits fell. These were the manifestations of Ji Xian's Dao fruits, imbued with formidable power, far exceeding the confines of the heavens and the earth. The consumption of a single fruit could enable an ordinary being to ascend to the rank of emperor. The potency of these fruits was evident. Upgrade complete. The technique, Xianwu Emperor Sutra, has advanced to a semi-ancestral level. Lottery draw. Drawing in progress. Congratulations. Host has obtained the blood of the barbarian god. Blood of the barbarian god, specifically for the purpose of cleansing the marrow and enhancing the practitioner's foundation, fortifying the waist and kidneys, enabling unwavering resilience. It is recommended that the host utilize it during the next breakthrough for optimal effect. Ji Xian glanced at the system interface, nodded, and murmured, "Very well. Do not rush me away. There is one more matter. Speak." The disciple recruitment task has refreshed. Location, Underworld Mountains. Chapter 442. Departing for the Underworld Mountains. Within the Celestial Emperor's palace, Ji Xian sat upon his throne, his dark hair cascading around him, exuding an air of regality and authority as he gazed down upon the gathered ministers. The Imperial Knight, Valkyrie, Zhu Jiuyin, and the Headless Knight, among other emperors, bowed respectfully below. This marked their first visit since the onset of the dark turmoil. "My lord, do you truly intend to journey to the Underworld Mountains alone?" The Imperial Knight inquired. Including himself, several emperors harbored concerns regarding this decision. For the impending arrival of the semi-celestial king nearly shattered the entirety of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the 3,000 states, Beidou Heaven, and Yuanming Heaven, amongst over 10 other universes, exhibited grievous fractures and gaping rifts, yet only the Underworld Mountains remained unscathed, albeit slightly affected by minor fluctuations. Thus, they harbored suspicions of a power surpassing that of the quasi-immortal king residing there, which safeguarded that expanse of land. Ji Xian waved his hand dismissively, proclaiming, "With the Tao of heaven in my grasp, I alone suffice." Upon uttering these words, he left an avatar stationed in the celestial court to oversee the area, while he himself vanished from the land in an instant, reappearing millions of miles away in the blink of an eye. In the northern sea, dark waters surged tumultuously, the sound of crashing waves resonating with the heavens above. A terrifying abyss of secrets loomed in the sky, shrouded in dense clouds and crackling with lightning, creating an awe-inspiring spectacle. This place, rare in its immunity to the chaos of darkness, was shielded by its perilous environment. Ji Xian gazed northward across the northern sea, where lay one of the entrances to the ancient immortals, now sealed and devoid of any fluctuations of power. He nodded at an elderly man on a small island before vanishing from sight. The 5 vast oceans of the boundless divine sea dwarfed the 3,000 states by immeasurable proportions, yet the level of civilization was remarkably primitive. Aside from a few primitive sea-dwelling creatures, few cultivators inhabited these waters. Adjacent to the boundless divine sea lay the underworld mountain universe, nestled in the deepest void. Shrouded in mystery, since the time of the Xianyuan Heavenly Emperor and the Sword Emperor, none had ever breached this realm. Ji Xian traversed the void, dismantling the myriad concealed barriers, and arrived at the periphery of the underworld mountain. True to its name, the entire underworld mountain universe was dominated by a series of undulating mountains. The purple-hued divine peaks, interwoven terrains, and skies perpetually cloaked in ominous clouds painted a vivid picture of this realm. Powerful dark energies surged from the depths of the earth, giving rise to numerous long-deceased spirits. Notably, atop the highest 9 peaks, there stood a magnificent skeletal palace on each, illuminated by the mournful light of the pale moon, exuding an eerie presence. Who dares to intrude upon the forbidden grounds of the underworld mountain? Shouted a skeletal soldier clad in armor from a surrounding wall. The assembled soldiers quickly gathered, only to realize upon the figure's approach that it was one of the Emperor of Heaven's generals, transformed from a decayed corpse. He turned to command the skeletal soldiers behind him. Quickly, report to the Lord of the Palace. Who is the Emperor of Heaven? I have never heard of him. The skeletal soldier scratched his head in confusion. The corpse general kicked him and scolded. Just go, you fool. You were just dug up from your grave yesterday. What do you know? Oh, the skeletal soldier hastily turned and ran back. Suddenly, a colossal hand descended, obliterating numerous border cities and flattening millions of miles of land into dust, killing all the soldiers guarding the walls in a single blow. The underworld mountain trembled, cracks spreading in all directions as mountains collapsed in a cacophony of chaos, with spirits wailing in despair. Within mere moments, the entire underworld mountain shattered, transforming its once continuous range into countless floating islands, a scene of utter devastation. In the second main hall, a figure clad in a black robe gazed at Ji Xian in the distance, unable to suppress a sigh. Ultimately, he has matured. The underworld mountain, in its current state, lacks the capacity to resist him. In the next instant, he appeared before Ji Xian, clasping his fists and bowing. I am the second hall master of the underworld mountain, paying my respects to the Emperor of Heaven. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes and inquired, is it merely the second palace master who has come to see me? Where is the first palace master? His voice, though soft, resonated with an overwhelming energy that reverberated throughout the entire Nether Mountain, instantly causing countless spectral beings to perish. Reduced to ash. The second palace master replied, I deeply apologize. The first palace master is often elusive, and I am unaware of his whereabouts. He may well have perished. Ji Xian responded, no matter, simply disclose the location of the underworld kingdom. That is why I am here. The second palace master trembled slightly, then gestured toward a distant mountain range, saying, Your Majesty, it lies yonder. In the next instant, Ji Xian vanished from his position, appearing near the majestic mountain. Halfway up the slope, a colossal altar stood, surrounded by towering towers constructed of bones, exuding a chilling aura. At the altar's deepest recess, a dark red door was ensnared by hundreds of rusted chains, as if imprisoning the most fearsome of demons. An icy, sinister energy seeped through the crack of the door. Ji Xian stared at the door for several moments, sighed, and shook his head, remarking, You of the Nether Mountain truly harbor insatiable ambitions. Even the heavenly Tao is under my dominion. Do you genuinely believe that this dark altar can detain me? Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted, enveloping the entire colossal altar in an eerie black mist. The bone towers trembled as the dark red door burst open with a resounding crack, chains clattering to the ground, and a massive ancient bronze coffin flew forth, hurtling toward Ji Xian. Clang! The sharp sound of metal colliding echoed as Ji Xian effortlessly swatted the ancient coffin away, sending it flying for 100,000 miles. Simultaneously, the small imperial coffin on his person reacted, vibrating with urgency, yearning to merge with the bronze giant coffin. In the distance, the second palace master materialized, standing atop the rebuffed coffin, gazing coldly at Ji Xian. He declared, The underworld kingdom is of great significance to our Nether Mountain. We cannot allow outsiders to intrude. I am aware that our current strength cannot withstand your might, Heavenly Emperor. Yet we must make an attempt. Even in death, we shall not yield. As he spoke, he waved his sleeve, summoning a bone scepter into his hand, instantly invoking the forces of the Nether Mountain. The 9 grand halls atop the peaks trembled violently, uprooted by a tremendous force, rumbling as they flew to the side of the second palace master. It was a grand spectacle. The aura of the second palace master in his ascendant realm erupted unabashedly, causing the heavens to tremble. The 9 bone halls floated behind him, creating an expansive tableau. Spectral visions of the underworld, ghastly phantoms, and blood-soaked mountains incessantly emerged, as the power surged rapidly, generating celestial-level fluctuations. By wielding the scepter and the imperial coffin, he commandeered the 9 halls, forcibly elevating his realm to that of a true immortal. One must acknowledge the terror of the Nether Mountain, yet it reached its limits there. Standing at the center of the altar, Ji Xian discerned the intricacies of the situation at a glance. Had he not been present, this power could have swept across the heavens and the earth. Confronting the hellish scene, he strode forward with an air of invincibility that transcended time. The majesty of the heavenly emperor surged dramatically as he unleashed a mighty punch. Chapter 443. The realm of the underworld. The imperial fist struck with the ferocity of a blazing star, unleashing a devastating force. In an instant, the cosmos surrounding the Nether Mountain crumbled, with countless gaping ruptures marring the boundary, a sight both shocking and awe-inspiring. A golden deluge poured forth from Ji Xian's fist, overwhelming the heavens and stirring divine brilliance, shattering the very fabric of the scene in the realm of the underworld. The second palace master coughed up a mouthful of black blood, and his body, bound in dark wrappings, exploded, the aura of a true immortal dissipating in an instant, vanishing without a trace. Both the skeletal scepter and the bronze coffin, artifacts of celestial power, failed to withstand the might of this single blow, succumbing to the overwhelming turbulence and plunging into the void. Indeed, all endeavors were in vain. A forcibly ascended power does not equate to that of a true immortal. The fire of his primordial spirit flickered dimly, and the second palace master, filled with sorrow, gazed upon the crumbling cosmos of the Nether Mountain, grief swelling from within. If two artifacts combined could not withstand the Emperor's fist, was he truly invincible? Where lies the entrance to the realm of the underworld? Ji Xian descended from the heights, his voice cold as he inquired. He had recently probed the area with his divine consciousness, discovering no trace of an alternate space, leading him to suspect that the realm of the underworld resided not within the primary universe of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, but rather in an independent continuum of time and space. The second palace master replied, "You shall never know. Before your arrival, I erased all traces of the realm of the underworld from this place, including my memories of it. The Emperor of Fengdu's might is inviolable, none may desecrate him. You would do well to abandon such hopes." Ji Xian's eyes narrowed, and he thrust his fingers into the fire of the second palace master's primordial spirit, searching his soul. After a thorough examination, he found no surplus memories pertaining to the realm of the underworld. Even the Emperor can encounter setbacks. It seems my Nether Mountain is not destined for demise. The second palace master cackled madly. Humph. Ji Xian let out a light snort and effortlessly obliterated the primordial spirit of this ascended emperor. He soared into the sky, surveying the entirety of the Nether Mountain cosmos, attempting to discern something from the grand momentum and geographical patterns, yet after several breaths, he remained empty-handed. Suddenly, amidst his despondency, a memory surfaced from the mind of the Howling Sky Hound regarding his past role as the guardian of the realm of the underworld. In this recollection, he was not yet an emperor, blissfully unaware, raised by the first and second palace masters, spending his days guarding a coffin. Was the entrance to the realm of the underworld connected to the coffin? A realization dawned upon Ji Xian as he summoned forth the colossal ancient coffin from the depths of the void, merging it with the smaller imperial coffin he held. Boom. An astonishing spectacle unfolded as the two imperial coffins fused. A portal to another time and space materialized at the base of the coffin. Cackling sounds of malevolent spirits echoed forth, the ominous energy radiating for 30,000 miles, further solidifying Ji Xian's conjecture. No wonder the imperial coffin had been held in such high regard. It was all becoming clear. In the span of these millennia, every emergence of the Nether Mountain had a singular purpose: to retrieve the imperial coffin that had been lost. Without further contemplation, he left a projection of himself to guard the spot and leapt into the portal of time and space. This is an independent vast world. Traversing through the tunnel of time and space, Ji Xian sensed a vague, yet palpable, aura of an emperor, elusive and unclear. Although cultivators of the imperial realm no longer posed a threat to him, he remained vigilant. Several hours later, Ji Xian entered a bizarre realm. The scenery mirrored that which he had glimpsed through the infinite Ghost King. The horizon stretched infinitely, shrouded in heavy leaden clouds, with a blood moon hanging at the zenith of the world, exuding a sinister and eerie aura. A great yellow river coursed through the heart of this realm, its source and destination obscured. The river of yellow springs separated the realms of Yin and Yang, existing without beginning or end. The very soil of the land was a deep crimson, as if soaked in blood for millennia, teeming with peculiar flora. These plants bore no soft roots or verdant leaves. Instead, they possessed skeletal trunks, with decayed leaves draped in still warm flesh. Mountains of bones loomed, with countless wandering souls and vengeful spirits wailing, their cries echoing tales of past injustices. Hell, this was the term that best encapsulated the horror before him. This dreadful scene was reminiscent of the infernal realms depicted in myth and legend, a congregation of restless spirits. Upon entering this domain, Ji Xian experienced a peculiar sensation. The shackles binding the divine tree of his body between the imperial and celestial realms began to loosen. The realm of carefree existence, devoid of precise cultivation divisions, required the discovery of an opportunity for ascension to the next stage. In this moment, Ji Xian felt such an awakening. Perhaps within the deepest recesses of hell lay a place that could lead him to enlightenment. Could the opportunity for my ascension reside within this Yellow Springs hell? Ji Xian pondered. He gazed upon the scene of despair before him, and with a wry smile, he had initially imagined achieving immortality in a sacred place, only to find himself in this ghastly locale. Suddenly, a terrifying spirit let out a roar. Having detected his presence, it transmitted a warning signal to its companions. In an instant, countless spirits turned their gaze toward Ji Xian, their malevolent eyes glowing with a crimson light. The next moment, a dark swarm of spirits surged towards him. This was the realm of the spirits, and no living being was permitted to intrude. Faced with the vast army of spirits, Ji Xian merely exhaled, and instantly, a golden sea manifested, radiating an aura of utmost masculinity and vitality. The ocean surged forth, transforming into a furious lion that charged at the ghostly forces. Wherever it passed, the spirits trembled, all being reduced to black smoke, vanishing without a trace. The primal divine might was the most potent force in existence, wielding an absolute lethality against all spirits. In the blink of an eye, billions of spirits were eradicated, and the golden lion returned to Ji Xian, transforming into a wisp of vital essence that entered his body. Continuing along the course of the river of Yellow Springs, Ji Xian journeyed deeper. 10 years passed. He walked along this river for a decade, each step capable of spanning hundreds of thousands of miles, yet he had yet to reach the boundaries of this world. Its vastness was evident. Throughout these 10 years, he beheld the landscapes of the Yellow Springs realm, home to a myriad of powerful spirits, including those of imperial stature. He could not help but lament that the depths of the underworld mountain were indeed profound, concealing a power capable of upheaving the very fabric of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, had it not been for his rapid ascension and cultivation. Swiftly rising to command the celestial court over the past several decades, the realms might have been utterly ravaged by the underworld mountain. At that juncture, it was highly probable that countless lives would be sacrificed, with the cost of 19 grand universes leading to the emergence of a dark immortal. Suddenly, after traversing the treacherous mountains of bones, Ji Xian beheld a young monk at the horizon's edge. The monk radiated a pearlescent glow, adorned in a golden robe, holding a precious orb in his left hand and a staff in his right, exuding an aura of solemnity as he sat upon a lotus of the great path, resembling a living Buddha. What was even more striking was that in the vicinity of the monk, all malevolent spirits, night demons, and wandering souls were reverently bowing, either chanting scriptures or reciting mantras. This was an astonishing sight. How could these tormented souls, transformed from fallen beings and embodying the most profound evil, humbly sit and recite sutras? With a heart full of curiosity, Ji Xian approached the monk. Chapter 444, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva in the distance. The sound of the Buddha's teachings resonated magnificently, waves of sound radiating outward in a spectrum of colors. At the center, the young monk sat in serene majesty, surrounded by myriad manifestations of the Buddha's realm, exuding an air of utmost sanctity. His face was veiled in a subtle glow of Buddha light, radiating tranquility. It was an image of all sentient beings, indistinguishable in gender. Ji Xian passed by the malevolent spirits engaged in their prayers and approached the monk directly. To his astonishment, he discovered that this monk, like himself, was at the imperial realm, yet emanated an aura akin to that of a true immortal. "Benefactor, please sit," the monk said, opening his eyes, which sparkled with clarity. With a graceful sweep of his sleeve, a golden lotus of the great path appeared before Ji Xian. He ascended onto the golden lotus and sat cross-legged, inquiring, as a practitioner of the Buddhist path, "Why do you wander here instead of remaining in the tranquility of a temple?" The monk replied, "Wherever the heart holds the Buddha, it matters not where one may be." As he spoke, he glanced at the earnest spirits below chanting scriptures, and added, "Moreover, I cannot abandon these beings struggling in the depths of hell." Ji Xian countered, "The wicked descend into the realm of the underworld after death. It is their own doing. What struggle could there be?" The monk shook his head and replied, "It is not so. They perished during the great catastrophe millions of years ago. Their unwillingness to let go of their grudges transformed them into malevolent spirits, and their plight in this realm is not their fault." A great catastrophe millions of years ago. Ji Xian was taken aback and cautiously queried, "Is this place connected to the immortal domain?" He had previously discerned that this realm did not exist within the same temporal fabric as the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The monk's mention of the great catastrophe could only pertain to that realm. The monk nodded and affirmed, "Indeed, this is a fragment of the immortal domain from back then. After the great catastrophe erupted, the immortal domain was shattered into pieces. Thus, the underworld fell into the river of time and became lost here. I am the last monk of the Huaqing Temple, having survived by harnessing the power of the underworld and cultivated to the imperial realm. In a similar vein, I too have endured that great battle, standing as the last survivor of the underworld, compelled by compassion for the suffering of all beings to seek refuge in the Buddhist faith, bearing their tribulations." Ji Xian seemed to recall something and inquired, "What is the holy title of the venerable monk?" "Namo Great Vow, Ksitigarbha," the monk replied softly. Indeed, Ji Xian mused silently. He gazed upon the myriad of specters and spirits surrounding him and posed a question. I perceive your cultivation to be at the pinnacle of the Emperor realm. Why not ascend to immortality before guiding them? The underworld does not impose restrictions on becoming immortal, and the power of the Buddha's vows far surpasses that of the Bodhisattvas. Kittagarbha Bodhisattva responded, until hell is empty, I vow not to attain Buddhahood. For me, this is also a form of cultivation. Furthermore, the beings of myriad realms are under the watchful eyes of those powerful immortal kings. Anyone who becomes an immortal would be immediately detected and reduced to mere sustenance for the immortal kings. Unless, Ji Xian interjected, unless one discovers an alternative path to immortality, breaking free from the ancient and rigid cultivation system. Such a path would allow one to transcend, establishing a unique existence that escapes the scrutiny of the greater heavens. Alas, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva continued, throughout the vast river of time, no one has ever achieved this. As he spoke, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva maintained his composure. Yet Ji Xian could discern a flicker of discontent in his eyes. The immortal kings had decimated the realm of immortals, leaving Kittagarbha Bodhisattva as the sole survivor of the underworld from that era. Although he had embraced the Buddhist path millennia later, he still harbored regret over that battle and lamented the fate of the beings in the immortal realm. Having made up his mind, Ji Xian declared, if you can reveal to me the coordinates of the immortal realm, I am willing to lead the underworld back to rescue it. Upon finishing, he extended a branch from the myriad divine tree from within himself, unveiling the embryonic form of the Shintai universe to Kittagarbha Bodhisattva. For the first time, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's tranquil visage shifted, his breath growing heavier, clearly astonished by the sight before him. Excellent. After a moment of contemplation, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva acquiesced. Rising from his golden lotus seat, he faced the crimson sky, raised his staff, and chanted Buddhist scriptures. Instantly, the ground of the underworld trembled, and within the depths of the heavens, orderly celestial runes emerged, inscribing the coordinates of the immortal realm. When the underworld had departed from the immortal realm, remnants of its markings remained. Now finally proving useful, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva remarked. Thank you, Ji Xian exclaimed, rising to the heavens, stepping into the celestial expanse, and gazing at the array of runes as he began to channel profound power to deduce the location of the immortal realm. Occasionally, another world surfaced in his deep-set eyes, shrouded in darkness, devoid of any vitality. Was this the immortal realm? Despite being mentally prepared, Ji Xian was still taken aback. The entire immortal realm was fragmented, appearing lifeless from the outside, and in terms of the vitality of the laws of heaven and earth, it was even less vibrant than the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Such a staggering sight. He cleared his mind, refraining from further contemplation. Regardless of the state of the immortal realm, his resolve remained firm. To grow stronger, he would ascend, step by step, to the pinnacle. Boom. Suddenly, a formidable force surged from the realm of the immortal domain, barreling directly towards Ji Xian. Merely contemplating the situation in my mind, and yet it was already sensed? Ji Xian felt somewhat speechless. He unleashed the power from the myriad divine trees, obliterating all traces of his calculations and withdrawing from that state. Descending from the air, he resumed his position upon the hidden golden lotus. Master, how do you fare? Inquired Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. There are mechanisms set by an immortal king. I merely pondered briefly and was already detected, Ji Xian replied. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva remarked, joining his palms in reverence. By the way, do you know of any locations in the Yellow Springs where the celestial energy is particularly dense? I wish to comprehend the essence of heaven and earth, seeking an opportunity for enlightenment. Ji Xian asked. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva pondered for a moment before responding. There are many areas rich in celestial energy, but for one like you, who ascends through an unorthodox path, it may be necessary to seek a sacred ground that aligns with the great Tao. What path do you tread? The path of the mundane, Ji Xian answered. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's eyes brightened as he said, if you journey eastward for a while, you will encounter a magnificent stone bridge. It is named the Bridge of Rebirth. Upon crossing it, you will find a spring. The water flowing therein is the water of 3 lifetimes, representing past, present, and future. There, the purest thoughts of all beings converge, and perhaps it can aid you. Ji Xian clasped his hands in gratitude, saying, thank you, venerable monk, for your guidance. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva smiled. All is the result of your own fortune. I merely happened to appear at this juncture. Immortality is not the ultimate goal you pursue. Often, the most precious things in life lie right beside you, beneath your feet. His words were profound, hinting at deeper meanings. Take care, Ji Xian said, bowing in farewell before turning to depart. Just as he was about to vanish over the horizon, he glanced back at Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. For reasons unknown, this Bodhisattva always imparted an ethereal sensation, his presence both elusive and palpable. Perhaps this is what defines his path. Ji Xian whispered softly and vanished from sight. Chapter 445. The Bridge of Rebirth, the cycle of life and death clad in white. Ji Xian traversed the blood-red plains for countless miles, following the direction indicated by Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. It was not until the 3rd year that he finally discerned a similar structure. Indeed, it was a bridge, though not as grand as described by Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. The bridge was merely 100 feet long, narrow and overrun with crimson moss, which clung densely to the gray stones, creating a particularly eerie atmosphere. It spanned the narrowest part of the river, dilapidated and worn, despite being made of stone. It conveyed an impression that it might collapse at any moment. At the bridge's head stood a stone tablet. Ji Xian used his powers to tear away the plants clinging to it, cleansing the surface until he could finally discern the 3 large characters inscribed, Bridge of Rebirth. As one well-versed in the scriptures, Ji Xian understood that the term rebirth is a Buddhist concept, signifying those who meet a good end, where their bodies perish but their souls and spirits attain eternal life in another realm. It is said that crossing the Bridge of Rebirth allows one to reach the blissful world on the other side, enduring forever. Ji Xian could not help but ponder whether this corresponded to the concept of immortality in the immortal realm, perhaps suggesting that crossing this bridge could lead to ascension. He lifted his gaze towards the opposite shore of the bridge, only to find that a thick fog had descended, obscuring everything beyond recognition. It appeared that I had unwittingly entered the realm of eternal life. Ji Xian remained composed, regulating his breath, and stepped forward onto the stone bridge. At that moment, a singular conviction resided within him, to attain immortality. As he approached the modest bridge, everything seemed quite ordinary. Observing the 100-foot-long stone bridge, Ji Xian couldn't help but chuckle. With a single stride, he could traverse the heavens and the earth, soaring through the cosmos. For mere mortals, this 100-foot span was merely a few steps. What challenge could it pose to him? Yet, soon Ji Xian perceived an anomaly. No matter how he walked, he remained in the same place. The surroundings shifted repeatedly, yet his position remained unchanged. Watching the scenery recede while he stood still, he pondered, was it the bridge that moved, or was it his heart that wavered? Immortality is not the ultimate goal sought by practitioners. The most precious things in life often lie right beside us, beneath our very feet. Suddenly, the voice of the Earth Store Bodhisattva echoed within his mind, fluctuating in proximity. In that moment, Ji Xian understood the essence of the Bodhisattva's earlier counsel. What ensnared him was not the stone bridge beneath his feet, but rather his own heart, fixated on the pursuit of immortality. The path to transcendence has always been beneath our feet, yet few possess the tranquility to discover it. Ji Xian relinquished his celestial demeanor, tempering his aura, transforming into an ordinary mortal, and resolved to walk forward with a calm heart. As a result, with his first step, a monumental transformation occurred. His vision darkened, and his soul felt as though it plummeted into a bottomless abyss. Upon awakening, he found himself in an entirely different world. It was a soft sandy beach, where a gentle breeze caressed him, and sunlight bathed him warmly. Ji Xian, now embodying a fisherman, reclined on the beach, his hair tousled and his eyes still heavy with sleep. The emerald waves lapped warmly against his bare feet. Where was this? Ji Xian searched his surroundings, realizing his only possessions were the clothes on his back and a tattered net for fishing. Of course, there was also a small fishing boat anchored in the distance. Could this be a spiritual realm? He retained the memories of his time as the Celestial Emperor, comprehending many things. His magical powers had vanished, and his lifespan had been curtailed to less than a century, it seemed. At that moment, he grasped the purpose of the Bridge of Rebirth, to plunge him into a spiritual sanctuary, allowing him to experience the mortal world, gain insights, and ultimately achieve enlightenment. A few decades were but a fleeting moment. I can afford to wait. Ji Xian smiled, for a few decades were merely a blink of an eye. He picked up the tattered net and made his way to the fishing boat resting on the shore. A fisherman's life would be spent aboard this modest vessel, which, though small, was equipped with all essential furnishings and supplies. He unfurled the sail, grasped the oar, and awkwardly rowed into the depths of the sea. The ocean was exquisite, with azure waves stretching endlessly, wispy clouds floating above, and the warm sea breeze enveloping Ji Xian's chest, providing a profound sense of comfort. Above, flocks of seagulls soared gracefully, tracing elegant arcs through the sky. The fish near the shore were too small. It was time to venture deeper. Contemplating thus, Ji Xian hoisted the sail higher and steered his vessel toward the vast expanse of the sea, following the direction of the wind. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a school of fish. Grasping his spear, he took careful aim and plunged it into the water, successfully impaling several hefty fish weighing around 10 pounds each. Moments later, he gazed at his overflowing basket of fish, his heart brimming with joy. Perhaps he had truly embraced the role of a fisherman. The catch brought him immense satisfaction. Such a bountiful harvest revealed a profound truth. The lower one's status and capabilities, the easier it is to find contentment. He realized that when seated upon the heavenly throne, burdened with the weight of a kingdom, he was beset with countless concerns each day. And even the most diligent efforts could not guarantee satisfaction. Yet here he was, navigating the ocean in his humble fishing boat, savoring the essence of freedom. A mere handful of fish could bring him profound joy. Being a fisherman was indeed delightful. He mused, perhaps it was best to relish these fleeting years. However, in the next moment, a tempest erupted. The once clear sky darkened ominously as storm clouds gathered, heralding an impending deluge. Damn it, Ji Xian cursed. Feeling an overwhelming sense of misfortune, on his very first day of fishing, he was confronted with such calamity, and it was so sudden. He hurriedly maneuvered his small boat toward shore, but the towering waves surged forward at a speed tenfold, 100-fold faster than he could navigate. Within the hour, colossal waves, having traveled vast distances, crashed before him. With a deafening crack, the fragile boat was shattered into splinters by the force of the waves, and Ji Xian was thrown into the sea. Gulping down copious amounts of seawater, he struggled but soon found his limbs weakened. A chill ran through him. This fisherman could not swim. His lungs and stomach filled with the bitter brine, his consciousness began to fade, and his bloodshot eyes reflected the grim reality of impending drowning. Resigned, Ji Xian thought, even if he could swim, survival amidst such tumultuous waves seemed utterly hopeless. He ceased to fight, darkness enveloping him as he succumbed to the depths. Thus ended his first life. Awakening on the bridge of rebirth, Ji Xian opened his eyes to find the surroundings unchanged. Save for one significant alteration, he had taken a tangible step forward, drawing nearer to the opposite shore. One step, 1 foot, represents a lifetime, Ji Xian murmured, as if grasping an elusive understanding. Alas, this first life was indeed dismal. He hadn't even survived a single day? Reflecting on his recent experiences, he could not help but scoff. A fisherman caught in an unforeseen storm was unfortunate enough, but to be unable to swim was absurd. A mere wave had claimed his life. The fragility of mortal existence was painfully evident. After regaining his composure, he took his second step. Instantly, darkness enveloped him once more, and a new world materialized before his eyes. In the second life, Ji Xian was born into a wealthy family, their estate sprawling over vast acres of fertile land, extending as far as the eye could see. The influential clan wielded power at the imperial court, leading a life of opulence that required no worry from Ji Xian. Consequently, he became a carefree young master, spending his days reveling in gambling houses and brothels, indulging in debauchery and vice without remorse. However, retribution soon arrived. A great army from the Central Plains invaded the country where he resided, leading to the fall of cities and the destruction of families. The once illustrious clan to which Ji Xian belonged rapidly declined, and within a single night, all wealth and splendor vanished. Ji Xian was forced into exile amidst the chaos of war, living a life akin to that of livestock. Before long, a new state emerged. To stabilize the sentiments of the former aristocracy and maintain his rule, the new emperor granted lands and subjects to these old nobles to appease them. Naturally, Ji Xian received a portion of land and populace, yet due to years of neglect and his lack of administrative skills, he fell victim to the machinations of treacherous individuals, losing his family estate and all possessions. Ultimately, he was left with nothing but a few thatched huts and an acre of wasteland. At the age of 18, his family in decline and with few remaining kin, he became a true representative of a humble background. Years later, with the flourishing of the imperial examination system, anyone could rise to prominence through diligent study. Ji Xian recognized this opportunity and resolved to apply himself rigorously, aiming to attain honor and fortune in order to revive his family's hopes. The phrase "a noble son emerges from a humble family" became his beacon of survival, and he silently vowed to achieve the highest rank in the examinations. Henceforth, he studied tirelessly by lantern light, neglecting sleep and food, immersing himself in the 4 books and 5 classics. A decade later, his innate intelligence bore fruit, and he became the top scholar of that year. On the day he entered the capital, 9 carriages came to greet him, and draped in a red robe, he rode a magnificent steed, basking in glory. Subsequently, he even received a personal audience with the emperor, serving as an official in the Ministry of Revenue and ascending to the position of chancellor. The world hailed him as a favored son of heaven, for never before had a chancellor been appointed at such a young age. After years of tumult, he finally found stability, planning to acquire a residence and start a family. Yet, fate often plays cruel tricks. Adversarial factions seized this opportunity, fabricating various baseless charges against him, presenting them before the emperor. The emperor, swayed by slander, erupted in fury but, valuing talent, spared his life, demoting him instead to a barren land. Thus, Ji Xian found himself exiled to a small town on the fringes, reduced to a minor clerical position, gazing at the dim room and the never-ending pile of documents. Despair enveloped him. After saving a modest sum, he resigned from his post. He sought refuge with a subordinate whom he had once promoted to power, only to be met with disdain. No one welcomed him, despite the knowledge that this young chancellor had been wronged. Approaching 50, after a life marked by great ups and downs, he gazed at the tightly shut Vermilion Gate, lamenting the coldness of human nature. In the end, Ji Xian relinquished his political aspirations and found a dilapidated schoolhouse, dedicating himself to teaching the children of impoverished families. The small podium became his entire world. This once exalted figure was now confined to the role of a humble educator. At the age of 60, he passed away in a thatched hut, unnoticed, leaving ambiguous whether he succumbed to the cold or to hunger. His fleeting brilliance only served to highlight a life of destitution, and he died without ever reviving his family or realizing his dreams. On the bridge to the afterlife, Ji Xian opened his eyes, though little time had passed. His gaze was filled with bloodshot veins, the marks left by the passage of years. He sensed a crack forming within the constraints of his cultivation. As the worldly emotions surged forth, hastening the breakthrough of his realm, Ji Xian ceased to ponder further, taking a decisive step forward as the world spun around him, ushering him into a new existence. In this life, he transformed into a valiant warrior, engaged in relentless battles throughout his existence, never pausing for respite. Fearless and indomitable, he ascended to the rank of a general, wielding immense military power with unparalleled authority. Ultimately, in his 50s, he met his demise on the battlefield, pierced through the chest by a black spear. A life spent amidst the clamor of war returned to the dust, fulfilling his duty to his sovereign, sacrificing himself like a precious jade dragon. Though fleeting, his brilliance was nothing short of magnificent. The celestial emperor on the bridge of rebirth awoke once more, yet this time, he did not open his eyes. Instead, he stepped forward into his next life. Gradually, he became entranced, traversing life after life, experiencing the myriad facets of existence. Ji Xian felt a profound sense of disorientation. The world was both harsh and irresistibly enchanting. Accustomed to the vistas from great heights, to experience the struggles of the lower strata evoked a bittersweet and ineffable sensation. The exalted celestial emperor began to comprehend that the path to understanding the grand world was not solely through slaughter and conflict. Each step on this earthly journey was a struggle for survival in the grand tapestry of existence. From the mighty celestial beings capable of obliterating the heavens to the humble commoners, each had their own path to tread. While the latter may not witness the cataclysmic devastation of the cosmos, their experiences were equally striking. In his 50th life, the celestial emperor had grown white-haired, his visage no longer youthful, with patches of beard adorning his chin and cheeks. He had aged, but this transformation was not merely a function of time. It was a profound shift in his state of mind. A few short steps surpassed the countless years of warfare. The emperor's gait was light, yet resolute, each footfall firm, emanating a hint of divine power that rendered him both celestial and mortal. By his 70th life, Ji Xian had liberated himself from the shackles of reincarnation, able to perceive the ongoing cycles with his own strength. Within the realm of spiritual enlightenment, the one navigating the currents was not an ordinary being, but the celestial emperor known as Ji Xian. In his 99th life, Ji Xian found himself as a beggar by the roadside, leading a life of alms. Yet, he felt no sense of degradation. Rather, he embraced a profound sense of freedom. The beggar lived for 300 years, an astonishing lifespan for an ordinary mortal devoid of cultivation. This longevity was not a result of Ji Xian's own efforts, but rather a manifestation of his ultimate state of mind, unencumbered by desires. His heart shone as brightly as a polished mirror, untouched by the dust of the world for 3 centuries. Free from the fetters of yearning, he attained longevity. The old beggar witnessed generations come and go, huddled in a dilapidated brick kiln, yet he beheld the warmth and chill of human existence, as well as the passage of time. On the bridge, the celestial emperor had aged remarkably. He resembled a decrepit beggar at the end of his days, clad in tattered garments, with snow-white hair in disarray, skin deeply wrinkled, and stooped in posture, moving with great difficulty. Since his arrival on the bridge, Ji Xian had taken 99 steps. Before him lay but a single step to descend the bridge of reincarnation, transcending the cycle of life and death. Gazing into the shrouded mists of the unknown, Ji Xian resolutely took that step. Chapter 447. The Immortal of the Mortal World in his final life. Ji Xian was a maiden whose livelihood depended on weaving. She was not renowned for her beauty, yet possessed a delicate charm that evoked a sense of comfort. A modest beauty, she had an oval face and eyes that sparkled like exquisite black gems. With a slender waist and graceful demeanor, she moved with a lively elegance. At the age of 15, they became engaged, and by 17, they were married. They epitomized a harmonious couple, leading a pastoral life of farming and weaving in a secluded village. Though mere mortals, their existence was more liberating than that of celestial beings. There was no cultivation, no warfare, all was tranquil. At dawn, the man would venture out to work while the woman remained at home weaving. As the sun set, he would return with a hoe slung over his shoulder, sharing the day as harvest. In the evening, wisps of smoke rose from chimneys, mingling with the sounds of barking dogs and rustling leaves, enhancing the serenity of their surroundings. Under the bright moonlight, the couple would extinguish their lamps and embrace a life filled with affection. 2 years after their marriage, the woman gave birth to a son, whom Ji Xian named Jizi. The boy was remarkably intelligent, recognizing characters at the age of 2, mastering calligraphy by 3, and reciting classical literature fluently by 5. Eventually, Jizi awakened a talent for cultivation, which astonished Ji Xian, standing upon the bridge of reincarnation. How could a child born of this illusory mortal realm inherit his bloodline? Consequently, the heavenly emperor intervened, employing immense power to strip Jizi of his source of spiritual energy. He wished to spare his son from the harsh path of cultivation, even if this existence were merely a fabrication. Years later, Jizi matured and married a talented local woman, and they were deemed a perfect match, earning the admiration of many. The villagers praised Ji Xian's discernment, On the day of their wedding, Ji Xian wept with joy as he watched the couple bow before him. 2 years later, a grandson was born. And as Ji Xian observed the child running beneath the setting sun, his eyes glistened with understanding. The true essence of life lay in its continuation. A decade passed, and Ji Xian, now in his 50s, found his hair speckled with gray, his body no longer youthful, unable to wield a hoe as he once did. Fortunately, Ji had secured a position in the county, and the family lived comfortably. A year later, Ji Xian's wife fell gravely ill and became bedridden, unable to care for herself. Witnessing her gradual decline pained Ji Xian deeply. He contemplated using his profound powers to extend her life, but ultimately refrained, recognizing the injustice of exerting supernatural forces upon a mortal. 3 years later, his beloved wife passed away, laid to rest in a small coffin. Before parting, she smiled and said, "I know who you are." Ji Xian was profoundly shaken, rendered speechless. In his despair, he erected a thatched hut beside her grave and took residence there. His lifespan was drawing to a close, and he wished to remain quietly here, without venturing elsewhere, so that after his death, he could be buried alongside her. Subsequently, Ji visited several times, urging her father to move to the city and enjoy a peaceful old age. However, Jishuan declined, content to live here. Years passed, and Jishuan peacefully departed from this world at the age of 70, which, in that era, was considered a ripe old age. The heavenly emperor atop the bridge of rebirth awoke, yet he lingered in reluctance to open his eyes, feeling an attachment to this life, a desire to remain forever in that realm. A crystalline tear cascaded down his aged visage as he extended his withered hand, tenderly caressing his time-worn face. "Oh, the passage of time," he lamented. "System, how long have I traversed this path?" Jishuan inquired, replying to the host, 10,000 years. Is all of this a mere illusion? Despite having an inkling of the answer, he still voiced the question. No, all of this is indeed real. The host is in a cycle of reincarnation, and all experiences are also cyclical. Upon receiving this response, Jishuan did not feel the exhilaration he had anticipated. He nodded, dispersing the chaotic mist before him with a wave of his hand, and stepped down from the bridge of rebirth. As described by Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, a divine spring flowed nearby, its waters shimmering with 3 colors. Jishuan stepped into the spring, his aged form gradually submerging beneath the surface. 3 mysterious forces enveloped him, and the laws of past, present, and future surged within him, overwhelming his senses with the essence of the mortal realm. Suddenly, the barriers between the realms of emperors and immortals shattered, and the power coursing through the trunk of the divine tree surged along Jishuan's spine into his consciousness. Primordial purple energy boiled forth, emanating from his features like a purple divine dragon coiling in the air before transforming into a beam of light that pierced his brow. Jishuan produced the blood of the barbarian god obtained from the system and merged it with the spring water, unleashing a force of unparalleled dominance. In an instant, his withered skin split open, revealing radiant celestial mist that shimmered brilliantly. The old skin fell away, and a man of splendid bearing re-emerged, a golden figure seated in his brow, reciting the sacred truths of the Tao. Both his physical form and primordial spirit underwent a profound metamorphosis. Boom! A cataclysmic celestial tribulation descended, overwhelming in its ferocity, as a sense of annihilation filled the air, leading countless malevolent spirits to disintegrate under its might. Divine lightning transformed into chains of cosmic order that descended from the heavens, binding Jishuan tightly. Simultaneously, flames erupted from the earth, scorching the sphere encased in divine chains. As myriad karmic fires manifested, seeking to impede Jishuan from achieving immortality, he forged a path to another realm, destined to be obstructed by the heavens. As the dual forces of thunder and fire materialized, intent on erasing him amidst the tribulation. In the distant void, a robed figure cloaked in black witnessed this spectacle, grinning malevolently and exclaiming, "An unconventional ascension to immortality. What a splendid physique. Alas, it shall soon belong to me." This was the first lord of the underworld mountain, who had been secretly observing Jishuan since his arrival in the realm of the Yellow Springs. The first hall master possessed an acute sense of smell and discerned that Ji Xian was on the verge of attaining immortality in this very place. Thus, he concealed himself in the shadows, poised to deliver a fatal blow at the most critical moment, intending to usurp the body of this celestial emperor. Within the 3-live spring, Ji Xian was enveloped by terrifying thunderous tribulations and searing karmic flames, 2 of the most domineering forces in existence. Yet he remained unscathed. Encased within a sphere forged from divine chains, his form grew increasingly translucent, with his eyes slightly closed and his long black hair cascading over his shoulders. He was diligently refining himself step by step through this celestial tribulation. The cataclysm had persisted for an indeterminate duration, with robust bolts of lightning continuously descending from the vast heavens, each possessing the power to annihilate worlds. Ultimately, Ji Xian surged upwards, shattering all the chains of thunder, and plunged into the boundless tempest of tribulation. In that moment, he stood at the precipice between the emperor and the immortal, amidst a crucial metamorphosis. For him, This was both a grand celestial trial and a profound worldly tribulation. As the tumultuous sea of thunder raged, Ji Xian grew ever more formidable. Each punch he threw could obliterate an entire universe, dispersing countless terrifying bolts of lightning. As time progressed, the celestial energy within him swelled, transforming his entire being into a resplendent white. Completely bare, his body shone like a flawless jewel, while myriad worldly thoughts flickered through his mind. He grasped the essence within. Seizing upon that fleeting opportunity, and with an abrupt shift in momentum, his transformation culminated in success. A terrifying celestial might instantaneously radiated outward, causing the entire realm of the Yellow Springs to erupt in fervor, as countless souls bowed in reverence towards that direction, filled with profound devotion. In the external world, the spiritual energy across the 9 heavens and 10 earths surged 100-fold, and a portal seemed to open, revealing that the constraints on ascension imposed by the heavens had vanished. Someone has become an immortal, shattering the ancient shackles. There are no longer restrictions on ascension in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, proclaimed one emperor. Upon the announcement of this news, the world was astir. If anyone could break this limitation, it could only be the sovereign of the celestial court. The celestial court trembled, and all eyes turned to the statue of the celestial emperor in the center of the square, where indeed a vast celestial might surged forth. The celestial emperor. All beings knelt in worship. It was an exhilarating moment, for after countless millennia, a true immortal had finally emerged from the 9 heavens and 10 earths. In the realm of the Yellow Springs, Ji Xian kept his eyes slightly closed, exuding an air of tranquility. His form was ethereal, yet it harbored immense primordial power. Observing the unfolding events with an impassive expression, he felt no excitement regarding his ascension. This was an ultimate metamorphosis of life. Henceforth, he would exist as a being of entirely different dimensions from the emperor. He was both a denizen of the mortal realm and an immortal. Murmuring to himself, he seized the final surge of the thunderous tribulation, seating himself in midair to solidify his Tao fruit. Now is the moment. He cackled. Once I ignite the tribulation, the immortal Tao fruit shall shatter completely. The first Halm Master materialized, producing the last immortal artifact from Mount Ming, communicating with its spirit for a self-detonation, and then hurled it towards the heart of the thunderous sea. Chapter 448. The despairing First Halm Master. The First Halm Master roared in fury, raising his hand to hurl a black battle axe towards the tumultuous thunderclouds above. Enveloped in blazing flames, this artifact was on the brink of self-detonation. Its celestial might uncontrollably radiating in all directions, tearing apart the very fabric of space. In the celestial realm above, Ji Xian's eyelids flickered, as if sensing something amiss. The heavenly thunder overhead was indeed affected, an ominous portent, a futile endeavor. He shook his head, and time runes began to manifest upon his surface, detaching themselves and transforming into a river of time that surged towards the celestial artifact. Boom. The moment the board axe made contact with the sea of thunder, it erupted violently, unleashing countless black bolts of lightning that cascaded from the heavens, enveloping the earth below. It was a scene of utter devastation. Each bolt of black lightning was akin to a strike from a true celestial, rending the blood-red plains into 1,000 wounds, casting the entire world into darkness. Yet swiftly, a great river emerged from the depths of the clouds, enveloping the bomb-like celestial artifact and halting all its might. Consequently, the black lightning ceased rapidly, eventually vanishing. Moreover, wherever the river flowed, everything was restored. In mere seconds, the land, mountains, and rivers regained their original visage. The power of time. The tribulation had not yet concluded. How could he possibly ascend to true immortality? This was indeed an anomaly, a peculiarity. The first palace master was struck with terror, finding the situation utterly inconceivable. Before the celestial tribulation concluded, one could not become a true immortal and thus lack the capacity to withstand the explosion of a celestial artifact. Not to mention, this was the most formidable first-grade celestial artifact of the underworld mountain. Little did he know, Ji Xian had already attained immortality the moment he descended from the Bridge of Rebirth. The subsequent thunder tribulation was merely a rite of passage. Alas, after spending such an extended period in the Yellow Springs, had this emperor grown somewhat ignorant? The heavenly emperor of the celestial court was astonishingly formidable. The first palace master sighed, recognizing the futility of resistance, and contemplated retreat. Fortunately, this heavenly emperor was in a critical phase of transformation and could not easily depart from the center of the tribulation. Otherwise, this day would mark his downfall. The pressing matter was to locate the reincarnation of the emperor of Fengdu. He gazed deep into the Yellow Springs, where the person he sought lay in slumber. The black robe billowed as the first palace master transformed into a wisp of black wind, hastening towards the depths of the Yellow Springs. Humph! Suddenly, a cold snort resonated, shattering the void, as a golden spear lunged forth, aimed directly at the first palace master's brow. Who dares? The first palace master was taken aback, hastily raising his hand to defend himself, redirecting the spear's force to his right arm. Crack! The right arm beneath the black robe shattered instantly, a torrent of imperial blood gushing forth. The robe was torn asunder, revealing his true form, a primordial behemoth with 3 heads and 6 arms. He bore a striking resemblance to the ancient dragon beasts that roamed the earth, robust in stature, with a maw full of sharp fangs, exuding a menacing aura. A pinnacle emperor of the Ascension realm. Who are you? The first palace master glared at the golden knight in the sky, filled with rage. The Imperial Knight coldly replied, Celestial Court, Imperial Knight, today, I shall slay you. The first palace master, incensed, retorted fiercely, in this realm, do you think you alone can impede me? Once I summon back the Emperor of Fengdu from my lineage, I shall slay every last one of you from the Celestial Court. With that, he unleashed a burst of speed, darting towards the innermost depths of the Yellow Springs. Boom. Suddenly, a dark tail materialized from thin air, accompanied by a thunderous dragon's roar, sending the first palace master hurtling backwards and shattering the land beneath him. Candle 9 and the Headless Knight, among other emperors, manifested their forms, exuding an aura of peak imperial realm. How could there be so many at the pinnacle of the ascended realm? Where do you come from? It is impossible for this world to host such a multitude of beings of this caliber. Who are you? Who has brought you to this realm? Is it the denizens of the celestial domain? The first palace master exclaimed in terror. Disturb my master during his tribulation, and you shall pay the price. The Emperor Cavalry, the Valkyrie, the Headless Knight, and Candle 9 closed in simultaneously. What skill is a group beating? If you dare, face me one-on-one. The first palace master stammered, his voice trembling. The Valkyrie stepped forward, her sword in hand, and coldly retorted, Very well, let us engage in a duel. Will it be you against all 4 of us, or shall we take turns against you? The first palace master continued to retreat until he found himself at the edge of the River of Oblivion. He realized escape was nearly impossible. How could anyone contend with 4 peak ascended realm warriors? Suddenly, a young man with gray hair surged from the water, wielding a broad axe, and aimed to strike at the first palace master's neck. Thud! One of the first palace master's heads was severed instantly. A scream echoed. And as he turned to see who had stealthily approached him for the ambush, his face drained of color upon recognizing yet another ascended being. The river god held 3 severed heads and smiled gently, saying, My dear ugly creature, which head will you choose to lose? The golden one, the silver one, or this tattered one? The golden and silver ones belong to me. The first palace master felt darkness closing in, muttering incoherently, but then suddenly became acutely aware. Drenched in cold sweat, that statement had not come from the depths of his heart. Conceptual deity. He gasped in horror, facing such a formidable foe. Falling into their conceptual domain meant certain death. Incorrect answer, my friend. Prepare for your journey, the river god said, stepping closer with his golden and silver axe. His smile gentle yet devilish. Boom. The 4 emperors in the sky simultaneously unleashed their might, casting spells that shook the heavens and immediately dismembered the first palace master. Within the Sea of Thunder, Ji Xian's celestial position and Dao fruit reached a state of unparalleled perfection. As the cosmic galaxies coiled above the myriad divine tree transformed into countless worlds, celestial flames rained down, scorching the body of the heavenly emperor, who, at this moment, used the heavens and earth as a forge, refining myriad paths. Every cell within him underwent metamorphosis, achieving the utmost sublimation. A century later, the howling winds ceased. The thunder clouds gradually dispersed, and a rare beam of golden light illuminated the long-darkened realm of the River of Oblivion, shining upon Ji Xian, who sat cross-legged in the sky. With a sigh, Ji Xian exhaled deeply, embracing unity and suppressing all his momentum, striving to appear as an ordinary mortal. Despite his efforts, he remained strikingly extraordinary. Each strand of hair, every inch of skin, and every pore was enveloped in celestial radiance, creating a hazy, sacred visage from a distance. Master, how should we deal with this villain attempting to ambush you? Dicky inquired, his spear poised against the first Hall Master's soul fire, ready to extinguish his life with a mere exertion of force. Dispose of him as you see fit, Ji Xian replied casually, turning his back to them. Gazing at the celestial figure above, the first Hall Master was engulfed in despair. This emperor had condemned him to death. Yet, simultaneously, he felt a swell of anger. Even at this moment, Ji Xian refused to turn and acknowledge the identity of his assailant, treating him as though he were an inconsequential mosquito. As a peak emperor of the Ascension realm, a being revered across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, how could he endure such humiliation? Is the immortal truly so exalted? He screamed, his heart wrenched in agony, summoning his final vestiges of strength to break free from Dicky's grasp and charge toward Ji Xian. The soul fire blazed intensely as the first Hall Master prepared to detonate his essence, determined to inflict damage upon the legendary immortal before his demise. The eternal mount shall endure, he cried. The gap between mortal and immortal narrowed as darkness descended in his wake. He fought desperately against the radiant light above. Yet, an overwhelming force of annihilation descended, shattering all darkness in its path. The golden light swiftly expanded, illuminating the entire realm of Huangquan. In the distance, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva smiled faintly. It had been ages since this ancient land had basked in golden radiance. Could hope finally be at hand? As his words faded, the area was once again engulfed in the sound of chanting. Meanwhile, the first Hall Master's soul was obliterated in less than a second, reduced to ashes as if slaying a peak emperor of the Ascension realm were an ordinary occurrence. Ji Xian surveyed the entirety of Huangquan in a single glance, pinpointing the location of the ghostly infant. With a gentle step, ripples appeared beneath his feet, the golden path unfurling toward the mountains where the ghostly infant resided. Chapter 449. Conquering Fengdu. Accepting disciples at the deepest recesses of Huangquan, stood a towering mountain range, vast and sprawling. This was a foreboding ghost mountain, exuding dark malevolence from the earth, littered with countless bones, where innumerable wandering souls roamed, their mournful wails echoing hauntingly. The sky was a ghastly red, the moon a sickly white, and from time to time, grotesque apparitions of towering demons manifested among the clouds, rendering the entire mountain range eerily bizarre. For all cultivators of the underworld mountain, this was a sacred ground, for it was once home to the Fengdu Emperor. Suddenly, a golden path stretched forth from the horizon, and a refined figure clad in white strode forth, exuding an air of tranquility amidst the terror surrounding him. In an instant, a multitude of spectral entities disbanded, unable to withstand the Emperor's overwhelming presence, including several of imperial stature. Yet, powerful malevolent spirits continued to linger, bowing in submission toward his direction. Truly an extraordinary place, Ji Xian murmured. Though it appeared terrifying, it was in fact a land of fortuitous creation. A mere day spent here would significantly extend the lifespan of ordinary cultivators. Ji Xian's gaze fell upon the ghostly infant sprawled within the depths of the mountains. He remained as he once was, with crimson eyes from which a torrent of magma flowed, his cracked black skin strikingly apparent. Should an ordinary person behold such a monstrous being, they might well perish from sheer terror. Ah, little one, we meet again, Ji Xian remarked with a smile. He descended upon the mountaintop opposite the ghostly infant, scrutinizing the creature intently. Beep. New disciple detected. Name. Unknown. Unnamed since reincarnation. Gender. None. Can be assigned according to the host's preference. Age. Approximately 10 million years. Talent. SSS. Cultivation. Emperor. Mid-stage of the first realm. Enlightenment. Physique. Ghost King body. Reincarnation of Emperor Fengdu. A born Ghost King capable of commanding an army of countless spirits. What a peculiar entity indeed. Lacking both name and gender, it was akin to a blank slate, perhaps even devoid of awakened intellect. Its cultivation base was impressively high, yet having resided in this fortuitous land for 10 million years, such a situation seemed quite reasonable. Ji Xian stroked his chin, contemplating the information displayed on the disciple panel. After a moment of reflection, he extended a large hand towards the ghostly infant. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted, a vast celestial might radiating outward, as a fierce wind swept across the heavens. A towering figure emerged, a robust middle-aged man with thick black hair, exuding an imposing presence. Who are you? The middle-aged man bellowed, his tone frigid, black smoke billowing from his eye sockets. The imperial coffin within Ji Xian stirred, emitting a gentle tremor. He quickly realized that this was a remnant of Emperor Fengdu's divine consciousness, left to protect his reincarnated self, awaiting the day of his emergence. I am here to alter your fate, Ji Xian declared. Emperor Fengdu, filled with wrath, retorted, why would my destiny require the intervention of another? I am the very embodiment of fate. He commanded, withdraw at once, or face annihilation. As one of the former supreme beings, he was exceedingly proud. Even though Ji Xian had ascended to immortality, he regarded him with disdain. Ji Xian replied lightly, what a deluded creature you are. Who dares speak to the heavenly emperor in such a manner? I am interested solely in your current incarnation. Your past glories are of no concern to me, nor do I wish to delve into them. I advise you to submit quickly, lest you become a mere soul seed, or prepare to be devoured as soul food. Enraged, Emperor Fengdu reached forth with a massive black hand, intent on crushing Ji Xian. The celestial mountain trembled as a menacing ghostly aura spread in all directions, causing the earth to collapse and sink into the abyss. This strike possessed the might to rend the heavens. Had it been unleashed in the outer cosmos, it would have shattered the heavens and the earth alike. Even as a fragment of divine consciousness, the prowess of a quasi-immortal was still impressive. An ant shaking a tree. I suggest you reconsider your reincarnation. Ji Xian countered with unparalleled force, his golden hand shattering the very fabric of the sky, obliterating the distant white moon. The might of the heavenly emperor undeniable and insurmountable. With a resounding boom, the outcome was inevitable. The black hand was reduced to dust, and Emperor Fengdu's form was shattered, dissipating into the ether. Yet shortly thereafter, a surge of dark malevolence erupted from the ground, coalescing into a new body. The Emperor of Fengdu steadied himself and let out a cold chuckle, saying, Heh, I am the fated ghost immortal. How could mere divine powers threaten my life? As long as there remains a soul in this world that remembers the name of Fengdu, I shall endure eternally. Ji Xian remained silent, conjuring a black divine decree in his hand, summoning the forces of the heavenly Tao to strike down. The Emperor of Fengdu's countenance changed dramatically at the sight of the black decree. It was the divine proclamation list. He screamed in terror, retreating repeatedly in an attempt to evade the onslaught of the heavenly Tao, but he was no match for Ji Xian's speed, and within moments, he was subdued. Thus, the world was rid of Fengdu. Ji Xian invoked the imperial proclamation technique, and deities of the sun and moon manifested in his gaze. The formidable power of fate materializing to erase all traces of the Emperor of Fengdu from the cosmos. No, a black vortex engulfed the Emperor of Fengdu, transforming him into a seed of the soul within moments. Ji Xian cradled the soul seed in his palm and approached the ghostly infant, purifying it before embedding it into the center of his brow. From that day forth, you shall be called Xiao Feng, a male will suffice. As the power of fate flowed into him, the ghostly infant began to awaken. His body underwent a profound transformation. Alongside the emergence of masculine traits, the dark, aged skin that enveloped him shed away, revealing a lustrous, radiant complexion. Ji Xian reduced his size to that of a normal infant, enveloping him in divine energy. The golden lotus of the great Tao floated gently, with Xiao Feng resting within, his eyes softly closed. The ghostly infant underwent a metamorphosis, shedding his fearsome visage to become a plump, cherubic baby, his skin fair and glistening. Subsequently, Ji Xian utilized the head and heart of the former emperor of Fengdu as nourishment to awaken his intellect. 3 years later, Xiao Feng emerged, curious about the world around him after millennia of slumber. With a swift motion, he summoned a star from the heavens with his formidable power, playfully toying with it until he applied too much force and shattered it. Then, he seized distant wandering souls, delighting in their presence. Completely oblivious to the terror he instilled in them, the wandering spirits, aghast, could hardly fathom that the ancient ancestor, who had lain dormant for countless years, had awakened, and was so powerful, they immediately knelt, displaying their submission. Xiao Feng, from this day forth, I shall be your guide, Ji Xian said with a smile. Xiao Feng ceased his play, his large, dark eyes fixated on Ji Xian, as if wishing to imprint the image of the one who had brought him into existence into his memory forever. In this life, he would no longer be the emperor of Fengdu, but Ji Xian's 10th disciple, the ghost king Xiao Feng. He did not respond to Ji Xian, perhaps not fully understanding the concept of instruction. Ji Xian perceived this and opted for a different approach. He produced a lustrous celestial fruit from his robe, stating, if you simply nod, this fruit shall be yours. Xiao Feng's mouth watered at the sight of the celestial fruit, which exuded a profound life force, utterly tantalizing. Without hesitation, he nodded, and Ji Xian placed the fruit into Xiao Feng's mouth. Ding! The successful initiation of the disciple, Xiao Feng, has been detected, and the reward is the half-ancestor technique, extreme nether scripture. Chapter 450, Approaching Immortal King, Transformation of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation. The extreme nether scripture is the foremost method for spirits and demons in the world, upon comprehension. It grants the ability to command countless specters and master the realms of darkness and death. Having glanced at the introduction, Ji Xian understood that this was a cultivation method suited for the spirits and phantoms. Practitioners could transmute the spiritual energy within their bodies into ghostly energy, attaining a state that is both human and ghostly. In simpler terms, like the boundless ghost kings and the emperor of Fengdu, one could withstand fatal blows and utilize ghostly energy to reconstruct their body, becoming immortal and indestructible. System. Utilize a single opportunity for enlightenment on the technique extreme nether scripture, Ji Xian declared. Understood. Commencing automatic cultivation. Immediately, Ji Xian felt a chilling aura surge within him as a significant amount of celestial energy transformed into ghostly energy. His breathing grew steadily heavier, and dark smoke billowed from his features, while his celestial blood surged, causing his veins to swell rapidly. In an instant, the once ethereal heavenly emperor had morphed into a fearsome demon. However, this state did not last long. Ji Xian quickly mastered the ghostly energy, restoring his original appearance. For him, who practiced the Tai Chi, ghostly energy proved immensely useful. The combination of the savage divine strength and the blood of the savage god rendered Ji Xian's celestial energy tumultuous, always on the verge of eruption. The ghostly energy served as a source of power on the inside, capable of suppressing the rampant force of the savage divine strength within his yang essence. At this moment, with Tai Chi reaching perfection, Ji Xian felt as if he were about to transcend this realm and ascend to the celestial domain. Not far away, Xiao Feng gazed at Ji Xian with curious eyes, sensing a profoundly comforting power emanating from him in that fleeting moment. Xiao Feng abandoned the half-eaten celestial fruit and slowly crawled towards Ji Xian. He bit into Ji Xian's calf, only to have his 2 prominent front teeth shattered. Ji Xian couldn't help but chuckle, gently blowing a breath that sent Xiao Feng back into the golden lotus, preparing to impart his teachings. The myriad divine trees quivered softly as a Dao fruit floated out from Ji Xian's body, drifting towards Xiao Feng, who was busy mending his teeth. As the Dao fruit drew near, a resonance occurred, causing Xiao Feng to rise involuntarily from the ground, gradually merging with the Dao fruit. The Dao fruit contained the profound essence of the extreme nether scripture and Ji Xian's understanding of darkness and death. Soon after, a dark divine cocoon appeared, settling within the Golden Lotus, motionless, as Xiao Feng began his metamorphosis. System, check the progress of my disciple's cultivation, Ji Xian instructed. With Tai Chi in perfect harmony, he found himself in a mysterious state, ripe for a breakthrough in cultivation. Understood. As the disciple panel unfolds, the following figures emerge: Fire Linger, Quasi-Emperor Realm; Ling Yun, Unyielding Sword Sovereign Midstage of the Emperor Realm; Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, Quasi-Emperor Realm; Ingzhong, Quasi-Emperor Realm; Sun Huang, Battle Saint Emperor Midstage of the Emperor Realm; Qingqing, Chaos Great Emperor Initial Stage of the Emperor Realm; Shi Tianyu, Reincarnation Celestial Sovereign Initial Stage of the Emperor Realm; Dai, Ancient Battle Emperor Midstage of the Emperor Realm; Xiaofeng, no imperial title, yet mid-stage of the Emperor Realm. Shi Tianyu and Qingqing have ascended to the Emperor Realm, which is commendable. Ji Xian notices the new developments on the information panel. Currently, only 4 disciples remain unascended to Emperor status. Fire Linger entered the fray too early, suffering from a lack of qualifications, and will likely need to wait a bit longer. Ingzhong, being a civil official, faces challenges in his cultivation, which is understandable. As for the other 2, Ji Xian already has an inkling of their circumstances. It is time to return my cultivation. Congratulations, esteemed host, on triggering a 42 million-fold return probability. It has been detected that you are currently in the mid-stage of the true immortal realm. Your cultivation will now be returned to the quasi-immortal king realm. Note, the divisions of immortal cultivation are as follows: true immortal, immortal king, immortal emperor, with minor realms categorized into early, mid, late stages, and perfection. Given the vast disparity between these 3 realms, transitional stages of quasi-immortal king and quasi-immortal emperor exist. To continue advancing within this realm, one must seek appropriate opportunities. As the system's voice fades, an overwhelming influx of immortal laws surges into Ji Xian's body, swiftly occupying the myriad realms above the Taiji immortal diagram. The return has reached an astonishing 40 million times, indicating the significant gap between the emperor and immortal realms. Ji Xian muses. He sits cross-legged, channeling energy, and begins to refine this newfound power. A century passes, and Ji Xian elevates his realm to the great perfection of the true immortal realm, his aura intensifying to such an extent that merely sitting still collapses the surrounding void. It is noteworthy that the former Yellow Springs Kingdom was once a corner of the immortal domain, possessing sound world rules that permitted the existence of immortal-level beings. Now, however, due to the presence of a true immortal, the very fabric of the world has altered. Ji Xian becomes acutely aware of this, and employs his formidable powers to stabilize the Yellow Springs world. The Ming Mountain universe has shattered, and requires a new world to assume its place. With a deep sigh, he continues his ascension. The great perfection of the true immortal is not the terminus of this enlightenment. During the refinement of power, the Taiji immortal diagram within Ji Xian resonates, unleashing even greater strength. Soon, he takes that pivotal step, ascending to the quasi-immortal king realm. At the moment of breakthrough, a cascade of multicolored divine lightning descends from the heavens, enveloping the entire Yellow Springs world. While it presents an auspicious sign, it also emanates an incredibly terrifying aura of destruction. Each bolt of lightning resembles a heavenly blade descending from the firmament, capable of cleaving through myriad skies. The heavens seem to bestow their blessing, as if welcoming the birth of a new king. Although Ji Xian himself has not yet attained the immortal king realm, such an extraordinary phenomenon manifests, which is truly astonishing. To solidify his Dao fruits, he dedicates an additional 200 years. During this period, the system automatically upgrades the 6 paths of reincarnation technique and chaos divine induction to the semi-ancestral law. Upon awakening, Ji Xian's attention was drawn to the upgraded 6 paths reincarnation technique. This profound skill transcended the boundaries of time, surpassing the cycle of life and death that governs all beings. In essence, any adversary who falls to Ji Xian in the future shall not perish easily. He possesses the ability to invoke the true essence of the 6 paths of reincarnation, ensnaring his foes within its cycle, rendering them unable to escape the grasp of this celestial emperor, regardless of how many times they are reborn. This method is exceedingly formidable, particularly for those of the celestial king realm, making it an immensely intimidating weapon. At this level of cultivation, it becomes exceedingly difficult to be utterly annihilated. For at the moment of their demise, a celestial king's consciousness splinters into countless strands, retreating into the currents of time to facilitate their reincarnation. The most powerful assailants can only stand helplessly by, as the intricacies of causality woven into the fabric of time deter any rash actions, which could invite catastrophic backlash. Now, with the transformation of the 6 paths reincarnation technique, Ji Xian has acquired a means to contend with this, far more precious than mere enhancement of his realm. Upon grasping this formidable principle, his gaze deepened, and the 6 swirling vortexes that once manifested behind him shifted into his pupils. At this moment, he ascended to the status of a supreme deity wielding dominion over life and death, capable of employing varied techniques that could likely contend with even a true celestial king. Ji Xian soon regained his composure and declared, "System, utilize both of my lottery chances. Chapter 451. The True Body of the Two Instruments, Lottery in Progress. Congratulations, host. For obtaining Time Realm World X1. Congratulations, host, for obtaining Chaos Ancestral Root X1. Time Realm World. A vast domain capable of shielding all celestial secrets from scrutiny, disregarding the enemy's cultivation and reconnaissance methods. Additionally, it possesses absolute defensive capabilities, utilizing the power of time to nullify all incoming attacks, irrespective of the enemy's strength and abilities. Upon reading this description, Ji Xian began to contemplate its application. In a short while, he would ascend to the celestial domain, which lies adjacent to the 9 heavens and 10 earths, thus forming part of the myriad realms. There, more formidable foes awaited him, once conflict erupted. It could lead to catastrophic alterations of the dimensional universe and the cleaving of ancient skies, including the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Every territory he conquers in the future must be shielded, and the Time Realm world undoubtedly stands as the optimal choice. It truly arrived at an opportune moment. Ji Xian nodded thoughtfully, then shifted his gaze to another panel. Chaos Ancestral Root, the first plant birthed after the creation of the heavens and earth, containing the purest essence of chaos in existence. The ancestral root is currently on the verge of maturation. It is advisable for the host to seek an opportunity to refine it, as it is a significant tonic, not a deliberate reminder. What does the system mean by providing me with a kidney supplement? I discarded my kidneys thousands of years ago to cultivate the 10,000 Paths divine tree. Isn't this a waste? Ji Xian's expression turned peculiar, for he was acutely aware of what chaos essence entailed, whether for cultivators or mundane beings. The kidneys are fundamental to their survival. The chaos essence is birthed there, serving as the source of power and spiritual energy, due to differing genders. It is referred to as Jing for men and Zhuo for women. Host, you have misunderstood. I merely observed your unfortunate plight during your 100th life on the Bridge of Rebirth. Ahem, to discuss the matter at hand. The Chaos Ancestor Root is the most representative treasure of the Source Tao. Once refined, the host will be able to directly wield the Source Tao, which is on par with concepts such as time, space, chaos, and creation. However, the system recommends that the host consume it during their next significant breakthrough for enhanced effectiveness. Understanding this, Ji Xian nodded and looked at the slumbering Xiao Feng before continuing. Let us replicate Xiao Feng's essence. Understood. Commencing replication. Congratulations, host. You have acquired the true body of the two instruments X1. True body of the two instruments, a treasure bestowed according to the host's cultivation of the Taiji Dao. The system has perfectly replicated another version of the host, who retains control and ownership. This true body possesses combat power equivalent to the host's level and is capable of growth. Moreover, this true body can merge with the host, significantly enhancing the host's combat prowess, achieving an effect of 112. Let us take a look, Ji Xian instructed. Under the system's manipulation, a magnificent Taiji diagram materialized beneath Ji Xian's feet. He appeared on the Yang instrument side, standing upon a black, clad in white robes with black hair, harmonizing seamlessly with the scene below. Opposite him, on the Yin instrument side, a figure gradually emerged, strikingly resembling Ji Xian, with sword-like brows and piercing eyes. His visage resembled white jade, exuding a refined yet valiant aura. The distinction lay in the fact that the Ji Xian of the Yin instrument was dressed in black, with white hair flowing over his shoulders and a crimson rune etched on his forehead. Around him, a terrifying scene of hell materialized, as if a demon lord had descended, commanding all malevolent spirits of the world. Boom. Suddenly, the Ji Xian from the two instruments exchanged a palm strike across the void, the overwhelming celestial might nearly shattering the Taiji diagram. The two were evenly matched, and their palm forces ultimately canceled each other out. The white-robed Ji Xian nodded, indeed, quite powerful. That recent strike had been a fragment of his divine consciousness directed at himself, and as the system had indicated, the black-robed Ji Xian was indeed akin to him. I shall now test the effects of merging with the Yin instrument true body. Understood. Next, the system will introduce the merging method. Before the system could finish, Ji Xian stepped forward, utilizing his formidable magical power to grasp the Taiji diagram beneath him, forcefully drawing the Yin instrument true body into himself with a rather straightforward approach. A boom. The surging celestial might immediately envelop the area, a dense amalgamation of black and white energies shrouding Ji Xian. His aura soared rapidly, transcending the realm of a quasi-mortal king and reaching an entirely new level. Immortal King. It was an exalted sensation, and Ji Xian distinctly felt as if he had dominion over all paths, with everything bowing before him. However, it was not long before he fell from that state. The true Immortal King was far too powerful, and he had only recently ascended to immortality, unable to remain in that realm for long. Nevertheless, that fleeting moment bestowed upon him profound insights, planting seeds for future breakthroughs. Having nearly resolved matters here, it was time to depart. Ji Xian surveyed the surrounding mountains before finally gathering Xiao Feng, as the golden pathway unfurled, swiftly vanishing into the distance. Far beyond the horizon, Ji Xian materialized his form, gazing down at the resplendent, holy mountain resonating with the sounds of Buddhism, and began to descend. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva immediately sensed his presence. rising to greet him with hands clasped in reverence, exclaiming, "Congratulations, benefactor, on achieving immortality." Ji Xian responded with a smile. Regardless of whether it stemmed from mythological tales or his experiences in the underworld, Ji Xian held a deep fondness for this bodhisattva. He vaguely recalled the enlightening words that had awakened him. Immortality is not the ultimate goal one should pursue. The most precious things in the world are often right beside you, beneath your feet. After exchanging pleasantries, Ji Xian guided the conversation back to the matter at hand. "I wish to lead the underworld to a place known as the 9 heavens and 10 earths, where I can offer my protection and where there exists the power to resist the realms of immortality. What do you think, esteemed monk?" The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva replied, "Everything depends on your will, benefactor. I merely wish to remain here, awaiting the joyous news of your triumphant return." Ji Xian nodded, and then retrieved Xiao Feng from the realm of time. "This is my new disciple, Xiao Feng, the reincarnation of the Emperor of Fengdu. Due to our fated connection, I have taken him under my wing. Given the urgency of our actions, I hope you can look after him." Indeed, it pained Ji Xian to entrust the infant-like Xiao Feng to another so soon after their bond was formed. Yet circumstances left him with no choice. Having witnessed the cruelty of the immortal realms on multiple occasions, he understood that it was safer to leave Xiao Feng in the realm of time, allowing him to develop in peace. Furthermore, remaining in the underworld would benefit Xiao Feng, as the power of extreme Yin was highly advantageous for his Ghost King physique. A flicker of emotion crossed the serene countenance of the reincarnated Emperor of Fengdu as the Bodhisattva extended his hand to receive the infant, thereby tacitly agreeing to the arrangement. Salutations to the Celestial Emperor. Behind him, the Emperor's entourage had been waiting eagerly. Upon witnessing Ji Xian's ascension to immortality, their excitement surpassed all. Ji Xian focused his attention on Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Horseman, noticing that the celestial aura within them had swelled to an extreme, on the verge of eruption. He recalled the system stating that these two were supreme experts within the immortal realm. "Endure for a while longer. I shall unravel your potential once I enter the realm of immortality," Ji Xian assured them while producing a jade bottle, showering them with soothing celestial light. Instantly, their tempestuous energies calmed, and Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Horseman nodded in gratitude, patiently awaiting Ji Xian to lead them into the battles across myriad worlds. In the end, Ji Xian bid farewell to the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva and opened a portal through the void, departing from that place. Chapter 452. The Unrighteous Lineage. After traversing through layers of void tunnels, Ji Xian exited the underworld. In the vast cosmos, a brilliant nebula was torn asunder by a colossal hand, and a figure clad in white stepped forth, with Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Horseman closely following. There seems to be a discrepancy in the location, Ji Xian mused, surveying his surroundings with mild surprise. He had entered from the imperial coffin of the Ming Mountain, yet now found himself in a different place. However, he paid little heed to this. In the myriad worlds, there were no realms beyond his reach. Before me lies the vast expanse of the universe, adjacent to the grand world of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Inhabiting this realm are myriad civilizations, ranging from technologically advanced innovative nations to primitive giants who feast on raw flesh. A mere glance evokes a sense of having witnessed the annals of time. Since the ancient era, the outer universe has experienced significant friction with the 9 heavens and 10 earths, often igniting tumultuous wars. However, following the Battle of the Celestial Gate tens of thousands of years ago, the actions of the myriad races from the outer universe have become considerably restrained, refraining from large-scale troop increases. Suddenly, a subtle tremor coursed through an object within Ji Xian, releasing a regal dragon energy that resonated powerfully. Sensing this, Ji Xian retrieved the broken Xianyuan sword. The sword's surface shimmered with runes, radiating a fiery dragon light, and it soared into the air, pointing towards a specific direction. Could it be? Ji Xian was momentarily taken aback as distant memories surged forth, and after a moment's contemplation, he followed the direction indicated by the Xianyuan sword. Within seconds, he arrived at a desolate planet devoid of any spiritual energy, a lifeless orb with no cultivation conditions. As he traversed through the atmosphere, Ji Xian descended upon the planet's surface. The environment was harsh, with deserts resembling seas and sand dunes like waves. The fierce winds swept across the terrain, sending massive tumbleweeds racing across the sandy expanse, accentuating the desolation. Standing atop a towering sand dune, Ji Xian gazed at the endless desert and spotted a remote village in the distance. In the next moment, he found himself at the village's entrance. "Who are you?" An old man at the village gate opened his eyes, looking at the ethereal Ji Xian with a mix of fear and astonishment. "Elder, what is your surname?" Ji Xian inquired directly. After a prolonged hesitation, the elderly man stammered, I am of the Ji clan." Ji Xian inhaled deeply, producing the half of the Xianyuan sword, and asked, "Do you recognize this?" Upon seeing the resplendent dragon sword, the old man's body involuntarily trembled. To verify his thoughts, he boldly approached, circling the Xianyuan sword with keen interest. "Indeed, it is that sword. Are you of the Ji family?" the elder exclaimed, looking up at Ji Xian in disbelief. This commotion drew the attention of numerous villagers, who hurriedly emerged, hiding at the village entrance and gazing from a distance. Observing the white-clad figure beside the elder, they were filled with both awe and trepidation. The last cultivator of their lineage had spoken of their origins from the formidable Ji family, a powerful sect of immortal practitioners. However, they had been cast out due to past transgressions and could never return. Ji Xian shook his head, stating, "Not at all, rather. The entire Ji family is under my command." At these words, the elder's expression shifted drastically, and he fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face as he pleaded. "Immortal of the Ji family, please do not annihilate us. We have suffered far too much. Our sins have been repaid. I beseech you. There are no cultivators left in our village. They all perished in battle over 100,000 years ago, perhaps moved by a sense of empathy cultivated through countless lifetimes." Ji Xian felt a twinge of sorrow for the mortals of his kin. "Rest assured, elder, I harbor no malice towards you. I merely wish to understand. Why are there no cultivators within your clan? Where has the Wu Dao Emperor gone?" The elderly man lamented. "The ancestor of the unfathomable has long perished in battle over 100,000 years ago. I possess no cultivation. These ancient events are beyond my experience, and are primarily known through the ancient scrolls passed down within our clan. After our lineage fled here, we not only faced relentless pursuit from the Ji family, but also endured the scorn and threats from the myriad races of the cosmos. The unfathomable emperor fought fiercely against external foes, ultimately sacrificing himself in the vastness of the universe. The remaining cultivators among our ancestors were deeply grieved and chose to follow the emperor on his journey. They fought valiantly to preserve our mortal lineage, leaving behind means for our bloodline to continue." Upon hearing this, Ji Xian was profoundly moved. In those days, Ji Wudao was undoubtedly a forward-thinking and wise individual. Before the Grand Era commenced, he had already perceived the intentions of his kin, Ji Wuwang, and chose to take the initiative, employing secret methods to split the Xianyuan sword in two, escaping the realms of heaven and earth to arrive here. Though this action was perilous, it thwarted the Ji Wuwang and the Underworld Mountains' plans to sacrifice the human race, directly dismantling their scheme. It can be said that he was a poignant pioneer in the face of the Dark Epic. Ji Xian calmly stated, "The Ji family has thoroughly eradicated any hostility towards the lineage of the unfathomable. So what will it be? Do you wish to return?" The elderly man's expression darkened, and he sighed, replying, "Thank you for your kind offer, but there is no need. The current descendants of the unfathomable have no cultivators among them. We are all mere mortals. The world of cultivation is too harsh, and even if we were to return, our lives would not improve." After speaking, he beckoned the villagers behind him to bring forth an item. It was a box of ancient and simple design, through its cracks emanating faint golden light. The elder opened the box, revealing the other half of the Xianyuan sword, resting perfectly within. "Immortal, please take it. The unfathomable emperor instructed us that if the Ji family, with goodwill, came here thousands of years hence, we should present this to them. We mere mortals have no use for this broken sword. Let it fulfill its destined purpose." Ji Xian drew forth the lower half of his own short sword and joined it with the fragment in the box. Instantly, a golden radiance surged forth, illuminating the heavens, as 99 soaring golden dragons manifested upon the sword, eager to take flight. Ji Xian restrained the extraordinary phenomenon of the immortal artifact with a single hand, preventing harm to the mortals. He inquired once more about the villagers' wishes regarding returning, yet they echoed the elder's sentiments. The world of cultivators did not belong to them. Nodding in understanding, Ji Xian departed from the planet. Indeed, he never revealed that he too was a descendant of the unfathomable. While he revered the spirit of the unfathomable emperor, he felt no connection to the bloodline. Thrust into this world, suddenly branded as a traitor of the family, no one would accept such a fate. Thus, he cleaved through the sacred city of the Ji family with a single sword strike, and with a palm. He vanquished the Ji family emperor, personally tearing apart this unjust destiny. Gazing down at the desolate planet from the expanse of space, Ji Xian's mind flashed with memories of the past. Ultimately, he wielded immense magical power to cradle the planet within his palm, flicking his fingers to send it safely back to the secure realm of the 3,000 states. The mortals remained utterly oblivious to such transformations, their comprehension of the cosmos limited to the cycles of night and day. Under Ji Xian's guidance, the Xianyuan sword also soared towards the Ji clan, fulfilling the pact he had made with Ji Xianyuan. Boom! Just as he prepared to return, a thunderous sound erupted from the depths of the outer cosmos. A potent force of darkness surged forth like a relentless tide, accompanied by the anguished cries of countless beings throughout the universe. In that fleeting moment, innumerable lives were sacrificed. Ji Xian gazed coldly into the dark heart of the universe and remarked, "Ah, such willingness to sacrifice. Offering up the entirety of a great cosmos's life for the creation of a dark immortal." Chapter 453. The final threat. Celestial energy surged over millions of miles, divine might soaring to unfathomable heights, as a celestial being was born in the outer cosmos. Deep within the universe, dark powers roiled, and a colossal divine cocoon erupted violently. Simultaneously, the cries of myriad beings filled the air as vast amounts of life essence were drawn forth and sent to the divine cocoon. Delicious. The sensation of becoming an immortal is simply exquisite. A rough voice echoed through the dense black mist, its scarlet eyes glimmering like swaying lanterns on a turbulent sea. As the black fog dissipated, the visage of the outer immortal gradually took shape. Much like the ancient royal of the primordial race, he was a monstrous fusion of various beings. His corpulent bear-like body was supported by two slender legs resembling those of an ostrich, with 8 arms extending from his sides, and a massive pair of rock wings unfurled, cascading down like clouds for 1,000,000 miles. His crimson gaze swept across the entire outer cosmos, landing upon Ji Xian not far off. Oh, what a curious individual. How is it that I cannot discern your aura? The outer immortal, perplexed, was emboldened by his newfound power and dismissed the thought, propelling himself to Ji Xian's side. Who are you? He demanded, his voice laced with overwhelming celestial authority, embodying the demeanor of a superior chastising an inferior. Ji Xian did not respond directly. Instead, he sighed softly and said, "Some cultivators are willing to sacrifice their lives for the sake of their few mortal kin, choosing to die in battle. Yet others, in their quest for immortality, have sacrificed all lives across the universe. Even if they attain immortality, what have they truly achieved? They become neither human nor ghost, mere livestock." The outer immortal, upon hearing this, felt rage swell within him. He bared his sharp fangs and coldly retorted, "Having attained immortality, I now stand above all beings in the universe. How dare you, an insignificant ant, judge me? Oh, I seem to recall a foolish human emperor who was slain over 100,000 years ago while protecting his mortal kin. If memory serves, I played a part in his demise. You bear some resemblance to him. Could you be his illegitimate offspring? If so, how fortuitous. Let me reunite you with your kin." Just then, Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Knight arrived. They pierced through the void, materializing behind Ji Xian, exuding a formidable imperial aura as they coldly gazed at the distant extraterrestrial immortal. The extraterrestrial immortal laughed heartily. "Ah, 2 peak ascension realm powerhouses have arrived. What a fortuitous day. By devouring you both, I shall restore my vitality, solidify my cultivation, and then eliminate that so-called heavenly emperor of the celestial court." Ha ha. Zhu Jiuyin let out a cold snort and remarked, "With your mere status, a newly ascended ant, do you dare to challenge a quasi-mortal king?" At this, the extraterrestrial emperor was taken aback, momentarily befuddled. Clearly, given his level and the manner in which he attained his dark path, he had no comprehension of what a quasi-immortal king truly represented. Perhaps the name of that heavenly emperor was indeed quasi-immortal king. With this thought, he cast a covetous glance at the individuals before him and charged forward. In an instant, the heavens trembled and the earth shattered, the already fragmented extraterrestrial cosmos splintering further beneath his foot. The extraterrestrial immortal descended with a world-destroying celestial might, eager to eliminate these 2 peak ascension realm emperors for nourishment. Ji Xian intervened, halting one of the assailants, and stepped forward himself. After achieving immortality, he did not exhibit an overwhelming aura. Instead, he appeared increasingly ordinary. Were it not for the faint celestial energy emanating from him, he could easily be mistaken for an ordinary mortal. Death. In the face of a strike capable of collapsing eternity, Ji Xian stood with his hands clasped behind his back, responding with but a single word. As his words resonated, the celestial might shattered, and the extraterrestrial immortal had yet to react before his form disintegrated into azure smoke, ceasing to exist. All of this transpired in the blink of an eye. From the onset of battle to its conclusion, it did not exceed a fraction of a second. What on earth was that? A fragment of soul consciousness within the river of time witnessed this and gasped in astonishment. This consciousness was a mechanism set by the extraterrestrial immortal to allow return to a previous time node should ascension fail. However, it had ultimately succeeded, leaving this fragment of soul consciousness idly within this moment. Could that imperial shadow, clad in white, be the heavenly emperor of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? The soul consciousness of the extraterrestrial immortal noted the golden phantom behind Ji Xian. It pounded its chest in frustration, regretting immensely. It had barely ventured out of the novice village when the greatest boss on the opposing side had come to block its path. Suddenly, the immortal's soul consciousness turned icy, as if about to plunge into the most dreadful abyss. The heavenly emperor had detected me. It jolted awake and frantically ascended the river of time. To escape. Is it so simple? Ji Xian stepped forward, traversing the 6 paths of reincarnation, disregarding all causal rules of the river of time, capturing that fragment of soul consciousness with ease. Do not kill me. I am willing to remain in the river for eternity, never to return to the world. The immortal's soul consciousness screamed in desperation. Ji Xian, with an air of indifference, replied, "Do you possess the qualification to negotiate with this emperor?" Without hesitation, he struck down, reducing the immortal's soul consciousness to ash. He gazed upon the desolate extraterrestrial cosmos, a realm that once stood shoulder to shoulder with the 9 heavens and 10 earths, where myriad races coexisted in prosperity. Yet, due to the ravages of darkness, it had been reduced to this state. Had he not been present, The 9 heavens and 10 earths would have met a similar fate. Ultimately, Ji Xian wielded immense magical power to refine the entire extraterrestrial universe, transforming it into the purest essence of primordial chaos. This force, capable of nurturing all things, was infused into the universe encompassing the 9 heavens and 10 earths, thereby bestowing it with developmental potential. Henceforth, the cultivation environment within the 9 heavens and 10 earths would flourish even more abundantly, its territory expanding by no less than a multiple. With all matters concluded, it was time to return to the celestial court for a final farewell. Ji Xian spoke softly, knowing that upon his next return, some would no longer be present. He temporarily retracted Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Rider into the system space, his form becoming increasingly indistinct until he vanished from sight. Moments later, atop the Jinyun Mountain, a figure in white materialized. Ji Xian gazed down upon the magnificent landscape, and as he had anticipated, the area of Jinyun Mountain had expanded nearly tenfold, becoming even more grand than Kunlun Mountain of ancient times. The celestial palace above the clouds seemed to have been influenced by Ji Xian's ascension, growing even more magnificent. Unlike before, the entire celestial city was undergoing a process of ethereal transformation, evolving towards a higher realm. A clear chirp echoed, and a colorful sparrow emerged from the nearby forest, alighting upon Ji Xian's shoulder. "How did you know I was back?" Ji Xian asked, extending his hand to receive the little bird. The sparrow nuzzled against his palm, expressing a sentiment of longing despite its inability to speak. As a spirit bird, it harbored no mixed feelings towards Ji Xian. Its affection was pure, entirely reliant on him, treating him as its master. "Let us descend the mountain," Ji Xian said, cradling the bird as he made his way towards the Heavenly Emperor's palace below. Chapter 454. The Celestial Court of One atop Jinyun Mountain. The sound of bells resonated through the heavens and earth. Upon Ji Xian's arrival, the aura of the Heavenly Emperor radiated unreservedly, felt by all beings of myriad races in an instant. The Heavenly Emperor has returned. All the clans stirred, hastening to the Celestial Court to pay their respects, for he was the first immortal born since the ancient times. What extraordinary nobility! Among them, the Ji and Jiang families exhibited the most fervent reactions, dispatching numerous high-ranking members to greet the Heavenly Emperor. The return of the treasured Xianyuan sword to the human race signified an inevitable flourishing for them. Within the Heavenly Emperor's palace, we pay our respects to the Heavenly Emperor. Ji Qingxian of the Ji family, accompanied by a multitude, arrived alongside several prodigies from the Jiang family. The Xianyuan sword floated serenely nearby, emanating a powerful dragon aura. Utterly divine. "I pay my respects to the Heavenly Emperor," an aged voice rang out within the hall. Jiang Xingyang stepped forward, slightly bowing to Ji Xian. The years of warfare had transformed him considerably, aging him considerably since their last encounter. Ji Xian perceived a sense of reverence in his gaze. This former friend no longer approached him with the ease of companionship. "There is no need for such formality. What was, remains," Ji Xian said. Jiang Xingyang clasped his hands in response. Understood. Soon after, Emperor Shuhua, Emperor One, the old Taoist Yuanji, and the ancient Emperor of Earthfire also arrived, all maintaining a posture of submission, deeply awed by Ji Xian. Only the illustrious Emperor Shuhua maintained a fleeting moment of levity upon their meeting. Yet he was promptly admonished by Emperor One. Ji Xian felt a profound discomfort in his heart, yet found himself powerless. The realms of immortals and emperors were entirely disparate planes of existence. Once this boundary was crossed, the possibility of standing shoulder to shoulder at the same level was extinguished. Regardless of past camaraderie, in the eyes of the current emperors, he had become an unattainable, unapproachable celestial being. "Has Ji Wuxing already departed?" Ji Xian inquired. Returning to the Heavenly Emperor, the ancient ancestor Wuxing passed away 8,000 years ago, Ji Qingxian responded. Indeed, Ji Xian nodded. Time flows inexorably forward, and the era of darkness has swiftly receded over 10,000 years, during which the world has undergone significant transformation. Some souls remain eternally anchored to that epoch, buried in the earth, scattered along the rivers, while others have risen amidst chaos, singing their triumphs and affirming their existence. "I have summoned you all for a matter of importance," Ji Xian declared. "Please, Heavenly Emperor, speak." The hall was already filled with figures, each a titan of ancient lineage. "I intend to depart this realm and journey to the domain of immortals," Ji Xian stated calmly. A tremor of unrest coursed through the assembly. Although they had anticipated this development, hearing it from the Heavenly Emperor's lips was profoundly shocking. "Heavenly Emperor, does the domain of immortals truly exist? Are there even more formidable dark practitioners residing there?" A voice trembled from one of the ancient titans. Upon hearing this, the other leaders leaned in attentively, awaiting Ji Xian's response. The primordial era was too distant for complete belief in the existence of the immortal realm, often regarded as merely the stronghold of dark beings. "It indeed exists. I have obtained the coordinates of the immortal realm and intend to breach the barriers of the 9 heavens and 10 earths at an opportune moment," Ji Xian affirmed. A profound silence enveloped the assembly, the sound of heavy breaths intermingling, rendering it impossible to discern whether their reactions stemmed from fear or exhilaration. The immortal realm was shrouded in mystery, harboring dark secrets and beings of celestial caliber. Heavenly Emperor, may we accompany you? It is too perilous. Your safety is at stake. A young cultivator stood, his eyes ablaze with determination, a prodigy blessed with great fortune. Ji Xian smiled gently and shook his head. There is no need. I shall proceed alone. Within the grand context of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the heavenly court belonged to all. Yet, in the unknown and perilous immortal realm, the heavenly court would be solely Ji Xian's. The expressions of the various leaders shifted, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. Their heavenly emperor was preparing to undertake this perilous journey alone. Emperor 1, Jiang Xingyang, and others quickly stepped forward to dissuade him, suggesting a gradual approach. The limitations on ascension within the 9 heavens and 10 earths had been lifted. They could await the birth of more immortals before launching an assault on the immortal realm. Ji Xian remained silent. While this approach was feasible, those ancient figures above would never grant him such an opportunity. The case of Lord Qingze was a prime example. A mere quasi-immortal king dared to traverse the river of time to assassinate him. If those true immortal kings did not harbor reservations, they would undoubtedly come in person. A slight delay on his part could precipitate unforeseen anomalies. In the end, Ji Xian rejected all proposals. He addressed the assembly, saying, "Return. For there will come a day when your presence shall be invaluable. Do not concern yourselves with me. Even amidst the celestial veil, I remain with you." The crowd fell silent, compelled to acquiesce, their hearts heavy with worry for Ji Xian's safety, while they marveled at his audacious confidence that disregarded all. Moments later, the heavenly emperor's palace grew desolate. After a considerable time, Ji Xian descended from his throne and departed. Heavenly river god, imperial steed, Valkyrie, approach, he communicated to the deities. Greetings, heavenly emperor. The void was rent as the 3 figures manifested in succession. Ji Xian gently raised his hand, revealing a strand of pure primordial qi in his palm. Addressing the 3 deities, he declared, "You are all postnatal deities, limited to the realm of ascension. To attain immortality, a metamorphosis of life is essential, transforming into primordial deities. I possess a strand of authentic primordial qi, acquired during the Battle of the Celestial Gate. Today, I shall share it with you 3. Return and cultivate it diligently, striving for ascension." With that, he divided the primordial qi into 3 portions and infused them into the foreheads of the 3 deities. "I am grateful for your benevolence, Heavenly Emperor," they responded. "Now, go and refine it." Ji Xian smiled. He then turned and ventured deeper into Jinyan Mountain, seeking a thatched cottage where Ing Zheng was seated in meditation. "Greetings, master." Upon Ji Xian's arrival, Ing Zheng promptly rose to pay his respects. "Where are the 2 of them?" Ji Xian inquired. "Right here." Ing Zheng conjured a glowing screen with magic. Within a cavern rich with transformative energy, Mo Yue and Mo Yuling lay entwined in slumber, encased within a colossal cocoon, their imperial might gradually evolving. "My 2 senior sisters are twin sacred bodies. This is the simplest and quickest path to enlightenment," Ing Zheng explained. Ji Xian nodded, curious to see what the sisters would become upon their union, yet regretting he would not witness that day in this realm. Suddenly, a tumultuous thunderous sound erupted from Jinyan Mountain as a figure clad in red soared upwards, sword in hand, piercing the storm of thunder. Ing Zheng sprang to his feet, exclaiming, "The first senior sister is about to breach the imperial realm." Chapter 455. The epic conclusion. The thunder sea roiled, divine lightning clashing with the heavens, as a woman in red transformed into a blood-colored divine phoenix, fiercely battling the imperial tribulation to surpass the final barrier and undergo her transformation. Horlinger stood at the center of the thunder sea, her body ablaze with 4 colors of flame. Years of arduous cultivation had granted her significant prowess in the art of fire. "Fight!" Her commanding voice resonated through the cloud sea as she wielded the Emperor's fire, creating a rupture in the heavens, ultimately severing the divine chains representing the thunder tribulation and transcending to the imperial realm. Ding! Detection of disciple Horlinger attaining the imperial realm. Upgrading host S technique Heavenly Fire Codex. Instantly, a wave of warmth surged within Ji Xian, but it was short-lived, absorbed by the Taiji immortal diagram. He understood that Horlinger had suffered the consequences of her premature emergence. Even with her technique upgraded, it would only amount to an ordinary celestial method. Having faced limitations in her innate talent, he must ensure that Linger does not suffer from the inadequacies of her technique. Ji Xian divided a strand of his celestial fire's true essence, transforming it into a flame scripture, which he then infused into the technique Heavenly Fire Codex, personally upgrading it. Heavenly Fire Codex has ascended to a celestial level technique. The celestial flame scripture has been upgraded to an unparalleled celestial technique. The system emitted 2 prompt sounds in succession, indicating that Ji Xian successfully intervened in the system. Utilizing a lottery draw, Ji Xian declared, "Drawing now. Congratulations, host, you have obtained a semi-ancestral artifact, the Starfire Sky Tower." Immediately, a magnificent 7-story pagoda appeared within the system's realm, crafted entirely from resplendent star stones, each level adorned in its own unique hue. Though it consisted of merely 7 stories, peering through its windows revealed a space capable of accommodating an entire universe. Starfire Sky Tower. The 7 levels nurture the most fearsome celestial flames in the world. Levels unlock corresponding to the host's cultivation progress, with the highest levels flames capable of injuring celestial emperors. Currently, 5 levels have been unlocked, allowing the flames to harm celestial kings. What a remarkable treasure! Ji Xian exclaimed. Previously, the only item in his possession that surpassed the celestial king's rank was the slaughter sword array diagram. Now, with the addition of the Starfire Sky Tower, he had gained another means of combat. Master. Huolinger descended after concluding her tribulation, flying gracefully towards Ji Xian. Reaching this stage has not been an easy feat. Splendid. Ji Xian praised. Although Huolinger was merely of ordinary imperial talent and did not possess the brilliance of figures like Ling Yun, Sun Huowang, or Shi Tianyu, achieving the status of an emperor within the last few millennia was still quite commendable. Thank you for your kind words, master, she replied, leaning on her sword with a smile. By nightfall, Ji Xian had met with all whom he needed to see. Gazing at the luminous moon hanging in the sky, he understood that it was time for him to depart. With a thought, he arrived at the realm of Bilu Ocean. This place is the pinnacle of the 9 heavens and 10 earths universe, and also the location where Ji Xian would open the path to the celestial domain. The earth has its limits, hence this universe is named the 10 earths. However, the vast expanse of the heavens knows no bounds, shrouded in mystery. Thus, when the Emperor Xianyuan delineated the cosmos, he did not breach the extreme number and divided his dominion into the 9 heavens. This night, Ji Xian came here to transcend that extremity and forge a new path. Rise. His feet stepped into the profound darkness of the starry sky. And with a flourish of his sleeve, the coordinates of the celestial domain manifested in the air. Ji Xian wielded his immense magical power, recreating the scene of the celestial domain he had witnessed previously, opening a rift in the void. The resounding chant of scriptures echoed across the 9 heavens and 10 earths, summoning forth an ancient celestial gate, the very star gate he acquired along the river of Sword Dao. As the gate materialized, an overwhelming aura of darkness emanated from it. Roars of dark beings echoed forth, their voices still resonating after millennia, as they yearned to break through this gate and enter this realm. Behave yourselves. You remain as you were, but I am no longer the Ji Xian of the past. Below, the celestial emperor continuously formed seals with his hands. Utilizing the power of creation, his eyes ignited with boundless flames of law, thereby subduing the celestial gate. The gate began to slowly open, revealing a profound void passage before Ji Xian, filled to the brim with a multitude of dark creatures. They were obstructed by a swirling mass of multicolored flames. Seething with rage, in an instant, countless dark entities surged forth, risking their lives in a desperate attempt to extinguish the celestial flames, striving to carve out an opportunity for the dark beings behind them. Yet, how exceedingly arduous this endeavor is. Beneath the baptism of the path of fire, countless dark beings perished at the threshold. During this tumultuous period, Ji Xian also deciphered the arcane runes of the void passage, catching a glimpse of the ethereal shadows from the celestial realm through a narrow aperture. Cackling ominously, more formidable dark entities emerged from the void tunnel, and Ji Xian sensed the presence of an immortal being within their ranks. Boom! The surging power of darkness resonated throughout the universe, stirring all living souls across the heavens and the earth. Is darkness poised to manifest once more in this realm? It cannot be. The ancient clans had been thoroughly purged. After all, if darkness were to re-emerge, we, the valiant men, would undoubtedly sacrifice ourselves in this chaotic era to quell all turmoil. A cacophony of voices erupted, filled with anxiety, fear, and fervent determination. In an instant, the celestial army swiftly assembled and made haste towards the site of the disturbance in the Bailuo heaven. Heavenly Emperor. The leading imperial knight recognized Ji Xian's silhouette at a glance, raising his golden spear to signal the troops to halt. The sacred sects of myriad clans also arrived, and upon witnessing the solitary figure clad in white, standing defiantly against the darkness and opening the void, they were momentarily entranced. Heavenly Emperor, are you truly leaving us without a word? Cried the elders of the sacred sects, their voices tinged with sorrow. They were among the first to be sheltered by Xianzhou. Now, after tens of thousands of years, their respective factions had grown into formidable powers, and their gratitude towards this heavenly emperor was immeasurable. Leave the battle against darkness to us. You may rest assured and proceed to the celestial realm. An old general, once a companion of Ji Xian in the battles against the Sword Pavilion, stepped forth and called out loudly. His hair was white, yet he remained robust, wielding his spear with an unwavering resolve to confront the dark beings till the very end. Master, Fire Spirit, Ling Yun, and other disciples arrived in succession. Even the slumbering Mo Yue and Mo Yuling were carried forth. The once tranquil sea of clouds was now teeming with people. Aside from the celestial army that had come to support, many rogue cultivators and mortals had also gathered, whether by the design of fate or mere coincidence. An encounter with darkness drew countless beings from various tribes to bid farewell to Ji Xian, rendering this night no longer silent. With a smile, Ji Xian felt a profound sense of solace. He remembered the early days of the Xintian Dao sect, which was desolate and empty, with only himself and a few disciples. Time has passed, and now the entire world belongs to the celestial court. A cultivator named Ji Xian, through his relentless efforts, traversed the realms, vanquished foreign domains, subdued forbidden zones, and stood resolutely against darkness, forging all of this with his own hands. Reflecting on such experiences, tears welled in his eyes, yet he quickly stifled them. He is the heavenly emperor. How could he weep? Boom. The dark beings within the Stargate grew increasingly agitated, prompting all present to heighten their vigilance. Grasping their weapons in preparation to fight alongside their emperor. "Allow me to handle this," resounded a mighty divine voice throughout the cosmos. Ji Xian stepped forth, his hands moving with grace, his hair billowing wildly as the overwhelming celestial might surged like a tsunami towards the Stargate. In an instant, the dark beings were obliterated, disintegrating at a visible pace, leaving not a trace behind. Even those dark beings emanating celestial fluctuations were effortlessly erased in this manner. Ji Xian turned his back to the multitude, personally tearing apart the Stargate, thereby consigning all dark beings to oblivion. Yet, the void passage he had opened remained. A pathway leading to the realm of immortals. Heavenly Emperor. The myriad cultivators called out Ji Xian's name, their weapons humming in resonance, all captivated by the overwhelming force he wielded. What could stir the heavens and the earth for millennia was effortlessly erased. One could not help but ponder. Is this what immortality signifies? The golden road unfurled, extending toward the profound void passage. Under the watchful gaze of countless beings, Ji Xian left traces of time upon the golden path, advancing step by step until he reached the Gate of Realms. Heavenly Emperor, where truly lies the path to immortality? How might we ascend, and does the old path truly lead us there? A cultivator stepped forth, voicing the questions that lingered in every heart. Previously, an emperor had deduced that the limitations to ascension had vanished, yet the conditions for becoming an immortal remained extraordinarily arduous. It was not merely a matter of desire. Beyond possessing formidable cultivation, an extraordinary comprehension of immortality was essential. Ji Xian paused, turning to the expectant crowd, and declared, "The path to immortality tread by generations past is indeed the immortal road." As he spoke, his form gradually blurred, enveloped by the rules emanating from the void passage. Vanishing from sight. Chapter 456. The immortal realm within the violet-black void passage, an eerie dark power surged throughout. This was a road transcending dimensional worlds, leading to the immortal realm long yearned for by ancient emperors. Ji Xian transformed into a radiant beam of light, traversing the passage, with scenes of time unraveling on either side, marking the swift passage of time. Having departed from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, he had journeyed through this passage for 5,000 years. Even he could not help but wonder what chaos awaited on the other side of the immortal realm. Were there truly no immortals left? If any surviving seeds remained, they could attempt to restore the immortal realm, rebuilding that world. If it had been completely overtaken by dark beings, then it must be utterly annihilated. After a moment of contemplation, Ji Xian resolved to make such a decision. Boom. A tremendous sound erupted from the dark space ahead, obstructing Ji Xian's progress. Manifesting his true form, he summoned great magical power to discern the source of the disturbance. Before him stood a magnificent celestial gate, entirely forged of bronze, adorned with images of ancient ancestors and deities. It was so imposing that its upper and lower boundaries seemed to vanish into the profound void, defying perception. Surely, this must be the entrance to the immortal realm. Ji Xian approached, placing his hand upon it, and pressing gently. Clang! A deep, resonating sound echoed through the void passage. Through the crack of the gate, Ji Xian glimpsed a world shrouded in darkness, utterly devoid of substance. Without hesitation, he boldly stepped inside. As he traversed through layers of dark veils, Ji Xian found himself in an entirely new world. Beneath his feet lay a desolate expanse, the soil tainted a leaden gray by dark powers, with eerie white flames erupting from the ground below. The sky was shrouded in a dense mist, much of it having collapsed, revealing numerous pitch-black rifts, resembling a shattered mirror suspended in the air. Not a glimmer of light penetrated this desolation. In the distance, countless dark entities lingered, each an embodiment of formidable power. It appeared that this domain had indeed fallen into ruin. Having experienced the grand laws of the void, Ji Xian exhaled softly. This place had endured the most terrifying upheaval of darkness, the foundational laws completely shattered, with the pervasive scent of death permeating the atmosphere. Those exceptional beings who had perished in pursuit of the celestial realm would surely rise from their graves to chastise themselves upon witnessing this scene. First, one must establish a firm footing. With a sweeping gesture of his grand robe, Ji Xian summoned a magnificent celestial palace into his palm. This was the ancient city of celestial pathways above Jinyun Mountain, rendered unnecessary in that realm due to its elevated status. Thus he had brought it forth. Boom. A grand world rich in spiritual energy was birthed by Ji Xian, violently clashing with the fragmented laws surrounding it. The resplendent celestial palace was situated within this new world, its towering walls enveloping countless miles of land, vibrant auroras bursting forth from within the city, illuminating the dark celestial domain. Roar. This commotion swiftly attracted the dark entities lurking in the distance, drawn by the immense power and vibrant life force. A tide of these dark beings surged toward this direction, wild as a raging tsunami, their crimson eyes glaring fiercely in the night. Ji Xian stood atop the city walls, calm and composed, fully prepared for the unfolding events. He produced the half-ancestral artifact, the Starfire Sky Tower. The palm-sized tower ascended into the sky, rapidly enlarging until it vanished into the depths of the universe. On the desolate ground, only 3 tiers of the tower remained. Settle, Ji Xian commanded, and in an instant, a tempest of flames erupted, each flicker bearing the power to annihilate worlds, transforming the frigid wasteland into a scene of chaos as dark beings fell within the sea of fire. Boom. In the distance, a towering mountain was shredded by a colossal black claw emerging from the earth, accompanied by a furious roar as a monstrous entity awakened. Ji Xian sensed the waves of power reminiscent of a celestial being emanating from it, who dared to disturb the realm of darkness. As the mist cleared, an 8-armed golden giant, cloaked in long black fur and wielding weapons in each arm, emerged. With wide eyes, it scanned the surroundings until it spotted the figure in white atop the celestial city. Who is the servant of which celestial king? Do you dare to incite chaos here? Are you tired of living? The 8-armed giant bellowed in anger. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes and replied coldly. What right does a creature stitched together from corpses have to question me? I would ask, who stands behind you? Impudent. The celestial king must not be insulted. The 8-armed giant roared, crushing 100,000 mountains beneath its feet, transforming into a bolt of black lightning as it charged toward Ji Xian. Though its form was immense, it moved with remarkable agility, lamentations of the great laws echoing in its wake. This was a being who had ascended through dark sacrifices, possessing a fierce temperament and extraordinary bravery. Ji Xian faced the oncoming threat with poise, stepping forward, though the motion appeared slow. It spanned a vast expanse of the cosmos. His speed reached its zenith as he darted before the 8-armed Vajra, striking down with a single palm. In an instant, the very fabric of the universe trembled, and countless mountains and rivers collapsed beneath, cleaving the 8-armed Vajra in two from crown to heel. Black blood gushed forth in torrents, cascading like celestial waterfalls in all directions. It was a most horrifying spectacle, as a formidable immortal was torn asunder. The once mighty 8-armed Vajra immediately slumped, his severed halves plummeting to the ground, desperately striving to reunite. Bang! Ji Xian's foot descended, shattering one half into countless fragments, while the continent below fractured into innumerable pieces, sinking into the abyss. As a quasi-immortal king, do you not fear being suppressed by the immortal kings with such lawlessness? The 8-armed Vajra uttered weakly, his remaining head struggling to articulate each word, as if each syllable could claim his life. Ji Xian scoffed. As an immortal, one must act with abandon. What worth is it to serve others like a dog? What of the immortal kings? They are but specks of dust in the vast universe. Should I cower before them merely for inciting chaos? The 8-armed Vajra's breath was labored, his bloodied visage contorted with fury at Ji Xian's audacious remarks. The immortal kings were revered as the supreme rulers, yet here was one who dared to defy them from the shadows. Simultaneously, he was astonished by Ji Xian's audacity and prowess, unable to fathom the origins of such a formidable being. He had dwelled in this realm for eons and had never encountered anyone like him. Wait. The 8-armed Vajra jolted as a realization struck him. He stared blankly towards the celestial gate, trembling as he inquired, "From which domain do you hail?" Ji Xian replied, "And what of it?" The 8-armed Vajra was struck with dread. It was not the strength of that domain that unnerved him, but rather the prophecy of the immortal king, foretelling the emergence of an entity that would upend the ages. He coughed up a mouthful of black blood, which transformed into a black phoenix, soaring towards the heavens. This was the golden cicada's shell technique. He sought to escape and alert the immortal king guarding the celestial domain. The one inscribed upon the immortal divine tablet had appeared. "How dare you?" Ji Xian bellowed, reaching out towards the black phoenix. Chapter 457. Confrontation with the immortal king. Reversing the cause and effect of the great Tao, a colossal hand rose to the heavens, resembling a magnificent demonic mountain descending, stirring a tempest of demonic energy, aimed at annihilating the black phoenix in midair. Boom. Suddenly, the distant skies erupted as a crimson divine dragon emerged, obscuring the sun. Its whiskers danced as purple divine thunder surged from the depths of the firmament, seeking to obstruct that colossal hand and protect the black phoenix. "Those I wish to slay shall not be spared, regardless of who intervenes," Ji Xian declared, crushing the remaining half of the 8-armed Vajra beneath his foot, rising with fiery intensity in his gaze, charging directly at the crimson divine dragon. Boom. The overwhelming waves of fire clashed violently with the sea of thunder, the might of the immortal path surging to unparalleled heights, erasing all within the region save for the immortal palace. The forces of causality have surged, rendering this realm unstable. As if something is destined to be rewritten, a celestial king makes a move from afar, while Ji Xian discerns the strength of the impending foe. It is a celestial king attempting to reverse grand causality, utilizing his essence to conjure a divine dragon to this place, aiming to prevent a past event from transpiring. The entity dares not approach directly. What do you fear? What are you attempting to alter? He fixates upon the black phoenix swaying amidst the sea of flames. His mind racing. In the next instant, Ji Xian vanishes from his initial position, wielding a black divine dragon spear. He strikes down upon the crimson dragon before him. With a resounding thrust, the immense dragon's form is instantly pierced, golden dragon blood cascading through the cosmos, penetrating multiple universes. Subsequently, the murderous intent contained within the black dragon spear swiftly infiltrates the dragon's body, preparing to dismantle it from within. The crimson dragon, ensnared, emits a mournful wail, its control over the thunderous sea diminishing significantly. Seizing the opportune moment, Ji Xian employs the Chaos Bell to carve a path, forcefully extracting the black phoenix from the heart of the collision of powers. With the primordial spirit obliterated, is this your true aim? A dignified celestial king. Yet you fear that I may uncover your identity? Upon investigation, Ji Xian discovers that the black phoenix's primordial spirit has been eradicated, leaving no trace behind. This is the power to reverse time, a force beyond the reach of mere temporal restoration. He gazes back at the dragon's form, torn to shreds by the black dragon spear, his murderous intent palpable. The crimson dragon has perished, expending its final strength to erase the black phoenix's primordial spirit. Ji Xian surmises that this celestial king, fearing that he might unearth the king's identity through the black phoenix's soul, resorted to such desperate measures, incurring a significant cost to alter causality across time and space. A faint laughter reverberates through the heavens and the earth, as if the celestial king mocks Ji Xian from afar, revealing his inability to contend with the king's temporal manipulation. You cannot escape. Ji Xian disperses the echoes that linger in the atmosphere with a single palm strike, turning to return to the celestial city, where he begins to orchestrate various matters. First, he decides to establish his dominion within the celestial domain, for which he refines the spatial essence of dozens of vast universes. These realms, long besieged by darkness, harbor no living beings. Trillions of dark entities are consumed by Ji Xian to nourish and mend the shattered laws of the cosmos. Ji Xian retrieves the Starfire Celestial Tower, erecting it as the guardian artifact of his celestial palace. As a semi-ancestral artifact, its mere presence radiates an aura capable of thwarting any inquiry from celestial kings. Thereafter, he conceals the celestial gate within the celestial city, establishing a connection with the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Henceforth, should anyone ascend to immortality in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, they will be automatically escorted to this location. Ji Xian further arranges over 10 celestial-grade formations surrounding the area, channeling the power of the temporal realm to establish an absolute defensive formation. Observing the towering formations, he exhales deeply. In this unknown world, such a sense of security is paramount. Ding! At that moment, the system's notification chimes abruptly. Detection of disciple Ing Zheng transcending tribulation to become an emperor. Reward: 1 lottery opportunity. Supreme Celestial Technique Emperor's deification art is upgrading. Instantly, Ji Xian feels a surge of clarity in his mind, as if his soul has undergone a profound elevation. The power of destiny, having ascended to immortality, he could already perceive the potency of his destiny, a formidable force that transcends the realm of spirit, influencing the fortunes and cultivation limits of cultivators throughout their lives. The deities of the sun and moon manifested behind Ji Xian, kneeling in reverent worship before the ethereal figure of divinity that hovered behind him. The devastation wrought by battles of immortal caliber extends beyond mere physical destruction. It enacts retribution upon the realms of fate, causality, and time, necessitating vigilance against such insidious methods. Ji Xian mused, at their level of cultivation, most tangible threats from the myriad universes no longer posed a lethal danger. Conversely, it is the intangible and supreme forces, cosmic origins, the power of causality, the essence of time, and the absolute laws of creation and destruction that could truly jeopardize their existence. The power of destiny is among the most frequently employed means. Although Ji Xian's destiny is beyond interference, this enhancement would grant him a proactive advantage, fundamentally eradicating the destiny and fortunes of others. Let us draw lots, Ji Xian declared. Drawing lots. Congratulations, host. You have obtained the diagram of heavenly mechanisms X1. Diagram of heavenly mechanisms, capable of deducing all that cannot be foreseen, disregarding all causality and backlash. This brief description, though concise, is laden with profound implications. In the realm of immortals, any attempt by a lower-tier being to deduce the higher realms is strictly prohibited. This is not a matter of strength, but rather a suppression by the great principles. Careless deductions invite retribution from the heavens, resulting in irreparable harm to one's path. Ji Xian's eyes sparkled with excitement as he retrieved the diagram of heavenly mechanisms. With it, he could safely deduce the actions of an immortal king. The diagram appeared as an unremarkable piece of white silk. Had it not been bestowed by the system, Ji Xian might have dismissed it as merely dyed fabric. He swiftly entered the celestial palace, seated himself upon a mat, and gradually unfurled the diagram of heavenly mechanisms across his lap. The expansive diagram bore only a singular hexagram, the rest a vast expanse of white, as if all paths of the world were encapsulated within this Taiji diagram. Ji Xian infused a strand of mental energy into the diagram, which instinctively conjured memories of his battle with the Crimson Dragon. In an instant, the power of causality surged forth, and the white silk began to tremble, an abundance of ink manifesting from thin air, cascading onto the silk to form bold, dark characters. In battle against the quasi-mortal King Ji Xian at the boundaries of the celestial domain, failure. Desiring to amend the causality of Ji Xian's existence, success. This succinctly summarized the entirety of Ji Xian's encounter with the immortal king. A crimson chain of order emerged from the void, exuding potent causality as it drifted before Ji Xian. He instantly comprehended that the diagram of heavenly mechanisms was offering him the opportunity to alter causality. Should he refrain from severing this chain of causality before him, all would proceed as usual, allowing the nefarious schemes of the immortal king to prevail, leaving him oblivious to their existence or identity. However, should he sever this chain, the truth would unfold, and he would reshape causality. With unwavering resolve, Ji Xian pointed forward and decisively severed the chain, for he had always chosen the second option. Immediately, the ink above the diagram of heavenly mechanisms began to transform. In a fierce battle against the quasi-immortal King Ji Xian at the boundary of the celestial domain, defeat loomed large. In his attempts to alter the causal chain that revealed his existence, he met with failure. Ultimately, all the ink coalesced into 4 square characters. Hao Zun Xian Wang, Celestial King Hao. Chapter 458. Touching the Forbidden Realm. The name Hao Zun Xian Wang was indeed commendable, yet his actions were no different from those of a petty villain, Ji Xian remarked with a cold smile. As a being of such caliber, his lack of corresponding audacity and strategy rendered him somewhat unworthy of his title. Boom. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning descended from the ethereal heavens, striking directly at the location of Ji Xian's celestial palace. The formidable defenses of the time realm were instantly activated, and over a dozen celestial-grade formations rose into the sky, warding off the encroaching lightning. Who dares? Ji Xian sprang to his feet, gazing into the depths of the sky, only to discover a middle-aged man clad in a black robe with crimson hair standing there, his demeanor dignified and exuding an air of martial authority. His form appeared ethereal, as though he were not a part of this space-time continuum. From this individual emanated an aura akin to that of the Crimson Divine Dragon. Just a phantom. What have I triggered? Ji Xian pondered. Moments later, the realization dawned upon him that the name of the Celestial King should not be spoken directly, lest it invoke the imprints and mechanisms he had inscribed across the cosmos, bringing forth calamity upon himself. After unleashing that singular bolt of lightning, the phantom of Hao Zun Xian Wang vanished, for that strike had merely been a remnant imprint left in this realm. Due to this encounter, Ji Xian gleaned additional clues regarding the Celestial King. He employed the Celestial Mechanism Diagram to initiate a new round of calculations. Hao Zun Xian Wang, a mid-stage Celestial King, one of the highest rulers across myriad realms during the primordial era, and the principal architect behind the sacrifice of countless beings in the celestial domain. His current position resided upstream in the River of Time, approximately 45 million years ago. His objective was to seek the remnants of an unparalleled celestial artifact, preparing to forge a supreme Celestial King weapon for a breakthrough in his own realm. The old man has certainly traveled far, Ji Xian remarked. With Hao Zun Xian Wang absent from this realm, Ji Xian had little inclination to pursue him, for there were more pressing matters at hand. Departing the Celestial Palace, Ji Xian appeared upon a desolate plain, vanishing in a few swift motions. When he re-emerged, he found himself beyond a dozen universes. Over the span of millennia, he unearthed numerous remnants of civilizations, all of which had been utterly obliterated, devoid of any signs of life. Yet, Ji Xian procured something far more precious. Artifacts and spacecraft that these civilizations had once utilized, still imbued with the flickers of undying laws. Upon concluding his expedition, Ji Xian returned to the Celestial Palace with these clues, utilizing the Celestial Mechanism Diagram to delve deeper into the search for surviving civilizations. Ancient relics floated in the air, a fractured tower, a broken celestial sword, and a cup filled with earth and stone, each bearing the marks of time, profoundly ancient. Spreading the Celestial Mechanism Diagram upon the ground, Ji Xian summoned vast powers to capture the temporal symbols left upon the ancient artifacts, infusing them into the diagram. In an instant, vast starry skies emerged, with countless points of light twinkling in the profound heavens. These represented the various civilizations that had graced the history of the celestial domain, ranging from the primitive to the advanced, from technology to cultivation. Ji Xian gazed intently at the celestial expanse before him, where the forces of time wrought their influence. Stars exploded in brilliant bursts, only to be reborn anew in an endless cycle of ascension, a testament to the evolution of civilizations and the passage of history. In the brief span of mere seconds, the profound development of the immortal realm, which had endured for countless eons, was vividly restored. At last, after numerous iterations of calculation, Ji Xian discerned a dimly lit star domain. There, tumultuous warfare raged, subjecting the realm to devastating assaults, and the conditions were dire. Yet, this was the sole civilization he could identify with any prospect of survival. In another parallel universe, not too distant, Ji Xian resolved to embark on his journey. For the immortal realm, the existence of sentient life was of paramount importance. Only in this way could he muster the resolve to mend this shattered world and seek a breakthrough to ascend to the realm of the immortal king. Traversing the multiverse was a privilege reserved for those of the immortal king caliber. However, armed with mastery over both time and space, coupled with the protection of a cherished treasure, Ji Xian felt untroubled by these challenges. Before his departure, he summoned Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Horseman, employing the celestial decree to release their seals. These two individuals were extraordinarily powerful. During the unsealing, Ji Xian, the absolute master of authority, felt an unexpected pressure. Upon consultation with the system, he realized they were beings of strength exceeding that of the immortal king, perilously close to the fabled immortal emperor. Goodness, system, are you attempting to dissuade my ambitions? Ji Xian chuckled. However, as newcomers to this realm, their recovery of strength would necessitate some time. With Ji Xian's consent, Zhu Jiuyin and the Headless Horseman remained within the immortal palace, cocooned in a pair of large cocoons, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth as they began their transformation. By the time Ji Xian returned, they would be fully restored, ready to join him in battle. Thus, he set forth, tearing open the portal to the void. His first destination was an ancient site of life, precisely the location he had deduced. In this universe, the civilization he sought had perished 1,000,000 years prior. He aimed to traverse other parallel universes to rescue that civilization from oblivion. With a resonant hum, Ji Xian spread his arms, forming a circular seal with his palms, manifesting a diagram of the Taiji. The vast currents of yin and yang surged forth from the depths of the earth as he employed his formidable powers to trace the origins. Seeking clues to the parallel universes, the embodiment of yin also materialized, standing back to back with Ji Xian, conjuring a similar Taiji diagram. The interplay of yin and yang occupied the space, invoking the most fundamental pathways of the cosmos, as a series of temporal and spatial coordinates materialized before Ji Xian. He committed these coordinates to memory and, utilizing his great powers, forcibly opened a void tunnel, stepping boldly into it. Boom. Suddenly, from the depths of the universe surged a malevolent force of annihilation. Ji Xian had trespassed into a forbidden realm, incurring the wrath of the heavens. Dark crimson lightning coiled in the profoundest reaches of the cosmos, resembling a bloodthirsty beast that fixated on Ji Xian, poised to descend and rend him to shreds. Ji Xian sensed the gravity of this tribulation, more terrifying than any celestial tribulation he had faced before, and could not help but ponder. Did the heavens truly exist in this world? Crack! The black lightning descended like collapsing mountain peaks, akin to a pitch-black celestial sword cleaving downwards, each strike overwhelmingly domineering, capable of obliterating heaven and earth. The void tunnel forged by Ji Xian was immediately affected, and the heavens, in their wrath, sought to annihilate all that was deemed heretical. Who established the hierarchy? Who dictated that a quasi-immortal king could not forge a path to parallel universes? He was filled with indignation. The duality of his true form unleashed a torrent of fist shadows, each blow cleaving the heavens and rending the earth, tearing apart the lightning and striking back against the celestial realm. The desolate life remnants erupted into a fervor as the two quasi-immortal kings defied the heavens, risking everything to breach the forbidden domain. Begone. Ultimately, Ji Xian summoned the sword-arrayed diagram of slaughter, the overwhelming aura of bloodlust transforming into billions of sword intents that slashed towards the heavenly tribulation. Thunder rumbled. Even the formidable heavenly tribulation was severed in an instant. The dense thunderclouds cleaved in twain, allowing glimmers of starlight to pierce the meticulously cut surface, showering down upon the earth where Ji Xian stood. The thunder continued to rumble. Although the heavenly tribulation was not entirely extinguished, it was undeniably obstructed. Ji Xian defied the heavens and cleaved through the tribulation, an unprecedented feat throughout history. Ji Xian had no intention of directly contending with the heavenly tribulation, for such a confrontation would yield no benefits. Stabilizing the void passage, he sheathed his slaughtering sword and stepped inside. Chapter 459. The Tianqian civilization in the vastness of the void. One universe after another flickered before Ji Xian's eyes. His gaze was profound as he meticulously selected the most opportune moment to act, patiently waiting. The civilization Ji Xian sought to save was known as Tianqian, a grand world comprising numerous vast universes. It shared an age akin to that of the 9 heavens and 10 lands, having traversed through the epochs of primordial, ancient, and recent, boasting a history of nearly 100 million years. 1,000,000 years prior, the Tianqian civilization fell victim to a coalition of immortals, succumbing to the darkness of turmoil. This civilization intertwined cultivation with technology, where towering skyscrapers dominated the cityscape, and vehicles flowed incessantly, exuding a strong aura of modernity. In the skies, metallic warships soared, unleashing waves of powerful sacred laws. Following closely were numerous flying vessels and cultivators riding on swords, tasked with ensuring the safety of the cities and protecting the civilians. Life was tranquil and beautiful, with everything proceeding in an orderly fashion. Until one fateful day, a shard of black metal plummeted from the heavens like a meteor, flattening hundreds of mountains. The land within a radius of tens of millions of miles was scorched, resulting in significant casualties among the cultivators and untold losses among the civilians. In the upper echelons of society, experts and powerful cultivators rushed in from all corners to study this metallic fragment. Soon, the cultivators reached a startling conclusion. This fragment could assist individuals in attaining immortality. This explosive revelation sent shockwaves through the Tianqian civilization, which had never before witnessed the emergence of an immortal. Historically, many magnificent emperors had existed, dazzling through the ages, yet ultimately succumbed to the passage of time, never touching the pinnacle of that exalted realm before their demise. After the discovery of the metallic fragment, the cultivators united with experts from various fields to conduct research, and after more than a millennium of effort, they developed an instrument capable of harnessing the power of the metal fragment. The instrument was swiftly assembled, and the energy it released instantaneously enveloped numerous vast universes, causing the heavenly laws of this realm to tremble, breaking the shackles of immortality one fateful night. Observing this, Jixuan could not help but marvel that, regardless of the era or civilization, relentless efforts were being made towards the legendary pursuit of eternal life. In many respects, the Tianqian civilization surpassed the wonders of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, for they were unified to an extraordinary degree. The emperors and myriad races willingly gathered together, dedicating their hearts and souls to the quest for longevity. He immediately recognized the fragment of black metal upon its emergence. The divine list within him buzzed and resonated in response. If my guesses are correct, that fragment of metal is akin to the divine list, a part of an unparalleled celestial artifact. Trouble was soon to follow, Jixuan mused. As time flowed, the Tianqian civilization produced its first true immortal, revered by all races as the Tianqian Emperor, a protector of the heavens. From that point on, the civilization entered a period of rapid development, giving birth to 5 true immortals within just a few 100,000 years, flourishing remarkably. However, such prosperity was short-lived, as disaster struck with the birth of the 6th true immortal. 3 quasi-immortal kings led millions of troops to descend upon the Tianqian civilization, unleashing an unprecedented massacre. All 6 true immortals perished, every emperor-level powerhouse fell in battle, the majority of cultivators were exterminated, and countless civilians were left homeless, teetering on the brink of annihilation. Ultimately, they could not escape the baptism of darkness, becoming the sustenance of a certain immortal king. Seated within the river of time, Jixuan observed with detachment, much like a supreme deity surveying the cosmos. Before him, battles raged repeatedly, countless lives were trampled upon. The cycle of reincarnation unfolded, with the Tianqian civilization floating precariously on the surging waves of the river of time, experiencing rebirth and destruction time and again. That suffices. Jixuan opened his half-closed eyes, vibrant green light bursting forth like willow branches reaching out toward the Tianqian civilization. This represented assistance transcending multiversal levels. Harnessing the formidable power of fate, he sought to salvage this fractured civilization from the river of time. However, at that moment, an astonishing aura of murderous intent erupted from above the river, transforming into a scarlet heavenly blade aimed at the Tianqian civilization. I dare anyone to try? Jixuan glared fiercely at the source of the threat, the aura of the quasi-mortal king spreading without restraint. He raised his golden fist to strike against the heavenly blade. The blade resonated, emanating waves of immortal-level magical energy. The Hao Zun immortal king unleashed his techniques once more, aiming to disrupt Jixuan's trajectory. How dare a quasi-immortal king attempt to open a multiversal space? Seeking death, his furious voice rang out as he unleashed a series of deadly attacks, intending to overturn the Tianqian civilization through causality, time, and heavenly laws, aiming to annihilate Jixuan. In the face of the immortal king, Jixuan remained composed, the killing intent in his cold gaze transforming into countless threads of lightning. His black hair danced wildly. Each punch he threw stirred the cosmic rivers, clashing fiercely with the resonating heavenly blade, severing the river of time hundreds of times in a brief moment. This confrontation spans millions of years, as the celestial sovereign of the vast reaches back to the ancient epochs, launching an attack towards Jixuan, who resides below the river. His resolve is monumental. Your performance astonishes me, echoes the deep voice of the celestial sovereign from upstream. Despite the erosion of time that has diminished his power, he remains unmoved by any mere quasi-immortal. Time is of the essence. I must depart. The aura of the celestial sovereign gradually dissipates, as he has borne a significant burden of causality with this strike and cannot linger. Before his departure, he extends his mighty hand towards the advanced technology of the Tianqian civilization, where shards of black metal are contained. However, awaiting him are 4 crimson killing swords, their chilling intent seeping into the skin of this sovereign, causing his palms to crack and blood to spurt forth. You, the celestial sovereign, enraged, cannot believe that such a being, capable of suppressing the ages, has sustained injury. Below, Ji Xian seizes the black metal shards and wields the 4 killing swords in pursuit of the celestial sovereign. My true form is not present here, you insignificant wretch. You cannot detain me, declares the celestial sovereign. Ji Xian retorts coldly, even if you cannot be detained, I shall strip away your skin. The 4 killing swords are urged to their utmost potential, an array suspended in the heavens. As the ominous visage of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood looms over the river, pressing downwards, the celestial sovereign is taken aback. Why does he feel a sense of dread in the face of these 4 swords? Supreme celestial artifacts, for in total, it seems my choice to confront you is indeed wise. Yet, do not presume this will subdue me. I am but 2 minor realms away from the pinnacle of perfection. Even so, the celestial sovereign does not engage directly, but continues to withdraw his power, preparing to escape this temporal realm. Nevertheless, Ji Xian is relentless, employing all his supreme artifacts, ultimately severing a small arm from the celestial sovereign. The sovereign is filled with fury, yet powerless, the higher one's cultivation, the stronger the constraints of heaven and earth. Today, this quasi-mortal wielding a sword has wounded him, and he must accept his fate. Anomalies of the ages. It appears my actions were not in vain. Young one, relish your current tranquil days, for in this lifetime, you shall never aspire to become a sovereign. Should that time arise, I and other formidable beings shall come to vanquish you. The celestial voice reverberates through the entirety of the temporal river, and the celestial sovereign vanishes from sight. Ji Xian slashes with his sword, shattering the celestial sovereign's hand left within the river into pieces. He manifests a pair of verdant hands of life, drawing the universe of Tianqin towards him, before vanishing from the spot. Chapter 460, Guidance in the Desolate Universe. A figure clad in white sits at the terminus of time, eyes gently closed, cradling the shattered Tianqin civilization. Presently, the civilization exists in a state of temporal stasis. Engulfed in thick smoke, reverberating cannon fire, and the frozen figures of battling cultivators, all suspended motionless in the air. A civilization destined for destruction has re-emerged in this world. As Ji Xian employs his profound magical prowess to reverse the heavenly mechanisms, forcibly tearing apart the multiverse to rescue it. Suddenly, Ji Xian felt a warm sensation emanating from another fragment in his palm. As he opened his hand, he discovered that the metallic shard was manifesting miraculous phenomena, radiating celestial light. He sensed that this reaction was not only related to the divine proclamation list, but also intertwined with his own fateful path. Ji Xian used his magical power to lift the metallic fragment, his eyes shimmering with a kaleidoscope of divine light that illuminated the shard. In an instant, countless visions of collapsing universes materialized before him, remnants of time etched onto the metal's surface. Thus, Ji Xian realized, this metallic fragment had drifted through the river of time for tens of millions of years, with the Tianqin civilization being the final universe it reached in recent millennia. Each world it visited was graced with an environment conducive to ascension. Through his calculations, Ji Xian discerned a specific trajectory for its journey, with the ultimate destination being the 9 heavens and 10 earths. There lay the divine proclamation list, sharing a common origin with the fragment, drawing it towards that realm. Perhaps in several million years, the two would converge in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, yet due to Ji Xian's intervention, their collision occurred prematurely within the Tianqin civilization. I initially believed that discovering the Tianqin world was a mere coincidence, only to realize that it was all preordained. Ji Xian observed the burgeoning power in his hand, where the divine proclamation list and the black metallic fragment entwined, resulting in a wondrous reaction. This was a reciprocal journey, where 2 entities separated by millions of years met at the same moment. However, why was it linked to my fateful path? He concentrated intently on the threads of destiny connecting the metallic shard to his being, filled with perplexity. Ultimately, he resolved to journey to the Tianqin civilization in search of answers. With the turmoil of war looming, he decided to revert to a time before ascension. Ji Xian waved his sleeve, and a flowing river of time surged forth from the depths of the cosmos, enveloping the Tianqin civilization. Consequently, the time within the civilization rapidly reversed, and all things within the grand world began to regress swiftly. The portals of ascension closed, celestial powers diminished, and towering edifices vanished. Everything transformed at an astonishing pace until it returned to hundreds of thousands of years prior. Boom! Ji Xian projected a strand of divine consciousness, forcefully descending into this world, causing tremors across numerous vast universes. The Tianqin civilization shook, and everyone beheld the figure clad in white above, awestruck by the celestial aura emanating from him. Immediately, several emperor-level figures emerged from their seclusion to investigate. In the distant sky, an overwhelming imperial might surged towards Ji Xian like a roaring tide. Wherever it passed, all living beings trembled, for the newcomers were the most formidable cultivators of the Tianqin civilization, receiving universal reverence. However, all this might dissipated inexplicably when it approached within 100,000 miles of Ji Xian. The white-clad celestial stood atop a high building, his presence serene. Yet every breath he took imposed absolute suppression upon the heavenly order, devouring all like a black hole. Heavens! Is this a celestial being? The assembled emperors, led by an elderly man with white brows, were left astounded. He was a peak emperor on the verge of breakthrough, exceedingly sensitive to the aura of the celestial. Upon hearing these words, the other emperors exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of astonishment and uncertainty regarding the proclamation of the white-browed elder. They were well acquainted with the prominent figures of the Tianqian great world, yet the individual before them was a mystery. Who was he? And when did he ascend to immortality? The elder respectfully inquired, "Might I ask if you are a celestial being from another realm?" In his usual esteemed demeanor, he exuded authority, yet in this moment, he appeared exceedingly reverent. However, Ji Xian paid no heed to him, instead gazing into the distance from atop the grand edifice, seemingly in search of something elusive. A dismissive snort echoed through the gathering, as a voice of skepticism emerged from among the emperors, asserting that such beings as immortals did not exist, and that the man before them was likely indulging in mere bravado. Consequently, one of the emperors covertly unleashed his divine consciousness, directing it towards Ji Xian's location in an effort to ascertain his true nature. "Stop!" the white-browed elder exclaimed in alarm, hastily attempting to intervene. Yet, it was too late. The divine consciousness had already reached Ji Xian. A shriek pierced the air as the other emperors were yet to glean the outcome. The practitioner plummeting from the skies. During his descent, his body disintegrated, ultimately fading into nothingness like wisps of smoke. Simultaneously, a resonating hum filled the minds of the emperors, erasing all memories associated with that particular emperor. Without lifting a finger, Ji Xian had obliterated the emperor from the very fabric of existence. Among those present, only the white-browed elder retained a flicker of lucidity. He too had lost his recollection of the fallen emperor, but, drawing upon his profound understanding, could surmise what had transpired. Indeed, this is an immortal. Tears welled in the elder's eyes. As the longest living entity in Tianqian, he had yearned to witness the mythical celestial being. To hear the Tao at dawn and die by dusk is a worthy fate. I shall depart without regrets. With a deep sigh, he reflected on the millions of years spent in confusion, pondering whether immortals truly existed. Now that he had beheld one, he felt a sense of fulfillment. Even if he could not attain immortality himself, the Tianqian emperors had offended this celestial being, and it seemed the entirety of the heavens would share in their demise. He urged his fellow emperors to prepare for their fate. Yet, contrary to the expectations of the emperors, the immortal in white showed no concern for the matter at hand. After identifying a particular direction, he transformed into a beam of celestial light and soared away. "What shall we do now, Tianqian Senior?" inquired a newly ascended emperor, stepping forward. A pang of bitterness filled Tianqian Emperor's heart. It became evident that throughout this encounter, they had failed to capture the attention of the celestial being. To such exalted entities, the might of emperors was akin to a mere whisper in the wind, and the gathering of emperors resembled a swarm of insignificant ants. "Let us follow. Surely, something within Tianqian has drawn this ancestral figure," the Tianqian emperor said, stooping with his staff as he advanced, only to vanish from sight in the next moment. The emperors had no choice but to pursue. The arrival of an immortal held profound significance for them. Meanwhile, Ji Xian traversed through the cosmos, crossing over numerous realms, until he arrived at a magnificent metropolis. This city was one of the most flourishing centers of the Tianqian civilization, bustling with numerous cultivators pursuing the path of emperors. Had Ji Xian not altered the timeline, a metallic shard would soon descend here, resulting in great calamity. Navigating through the vibrant urban landscape, Ji Xian made his way to the remote mountains on the outskirts. The ancient trees towered high, and the winding path was steeped in profound tranquility. As he ventured further, the reaction from the black metallic fragment intensified. Ji Xian accurately traced his course and ultimately discovered a dilapidated ancient temple. Chapter 461, The Ancient Buddha of Shitian, The Secrets of Eternal Times. The temple had long been forsaken, mostly buried beneath the debris of a collapsed mountainside. The crimson walls were overrun with dark green moss, and only a single door remained, its entrance having caved in. Ji Xian stepped across the uneven stone steps, arriving at the temple's entrance, where he unearthed a plaque from a mound of yellow earth. The metallic inscriptions had been worn smooth, the passage of time leaving its indelible mark. Employing his mystical powers to trace back time, Ji Xian restored the plaque to its former glory, revealing 4 golden characters, De Lei Si. As he pronounced each word, a ripple stirred within the tranquility of his heart, long untouched. Senior. Behind him, a group of emperors led by an elder with white brows had arrived. Standing respectfully at the base of the stone steps, their faces turned toward Ji Xian, filled with reverence. This assembly comprised unparalleled sovereigns of Tianqian, yet before Ji Xian, they remained silent, wary of incurring the wrath of this celestial being, fearing punishment or death. "Have you explored this ancient temple?" Ji Xian inquired. Upon hearing the celestial's voice, the emperors hastily vied to respond, only to be silenced by the elder's hand. His voice, raspy yet respectful, replied, "To the esteemed senior. This area was originally under my jurisdiction. This mountain range has long been abandoned and remains largely untouched, retaining its original state, as does this ancient temple before us. Its ordinary and remote nature renders it overlooked by both practitioners and mortals alike. Very well, Ji Xian nodded, then added, you may wait outside. With that, he pushed open the precarious door and entered the temple. Dust enveloped the sanctuary, the hall of Buddha aged and worn, with scattered bronze Buddhas and stone lions strewn about. The fountain had long since run dry, indicating that no soul had graced this place for ages. As he traversed the front courtyard, Ji Xian beheld rows of lush Bodhi trees. Everything here lay in ruin, save for these sacred trees symbolizing profound wisdom, which remained ever verdant. A chilling breeze swept through, causing Ji Xian's dark hair to dance like flowing water. He plucked a Bodhi seed, memories of your flooding his mind. His luminous eyes were once again enveloped in a kaleidoscope of colors, and he peered into the depths of the ancient temple, discovering something unusual within. With a swift motion of his sleeve, the very fabric of the temple's space was rewritten. Ji Xian stood motionless, yet in the next heartbeat, he found himself in an entirely different scene. He was now in the innermost hall of Buddha, where no grand golden statue resided. Instead, a portrait of a monk hung upon the southern wall. The monk possessed a complexion that would evoke envy even among women. His beauty so striking it could be deemed otherworldly. Most arresting was the peach-hued eyeshadow that extended toward the corners of his eyes. At that moment, the black metallic fragment in Ji Xian's hand resonated in unison with the divine ranking, quivering gently. Ji Xian surveyed the room, his gaze sweeping as if piercing through the ages, before addressing the portrait. Will you not come forth to meet me? The gentle sound of footsteps echoed through the courtyard, prompting Ji Xian to glance back. Although he saw no figures, he noticed a trail of footprints appearing amidst the dust, extending right before him. Long time no see. A youthful voice resonated, as golden divine radiance flooded the entire Buddhist hall, coalescing into a humanoid being standing before Ji Xian. This ethereal entity was enveloped in golden Buddhist light, resembling a Buddha. Though merely a wisp of primordial spirit, it brought its palms together in reverence, performing a Buddhist salutation to Ji Xian. Despite the obscured features, Ji Xian recognized him at once and smiled, saying, "It has indeed been a while. Are you surprised to see this humble monk here?" inquired the golden monk, feeling the gentle vibration of the divine seal in his hand. Ji Xian had already discerned an answer in his heart, yet he was eager to hear from the deity about this ancient secret that traversed epochs. "Fear not. We have ample time," he replied, effortlessly tearing open a rift in the fabric of space, revealing a realm where the laws of time danced vibrantly. The golden monk nodded and followed Ji Xian into the river of time, gazing upstream and downstream, where golden clouds illuminated the expanse, as he recounted tales of the past. The name Di Shirtian was conjured by later generations based on the mythos of deities and humans. The monk continued. "My Buddhist title is Shirtian, which is also my true name. The individual you encountered in the 9 heavens and 10 earths was merely a manifestation of my Tao. One of the countless seeds I scattered across the cosmos in hopes of finding you. Is it related to that immortal seeking me?" Ji Xian suddenly recalled the words spoken by the immortal Lord Qingze before his demise, about his name being inscribed on the immortal god steel, marking him as a target for all celestial kings. Shirtian nodded and elaborated. The Great War during the ancient times was vast and devastating. The celestial kings sacrificed countless beings in their pursuit of the path of creation, resulting in the demise of over 90% of the immortals across the myriad realms, let alone the mortals. They believed that such sacrifices would irrevocably open the path of creation, yet the sudden emergence of a steel obstructed their progress. This was the heaven steel, inscribed with the names of all who were worthy to tread the path of creation and their limits of advancement. Ji Xian's name appeared at the pinnacle of the steel, far surpassing that of other celestial kings, symbolizing that ultimately, only he could unlock this path and ascend to the legendary realm. Enraged, the celestial kings frantically sought the individual named Ji Xian, but ultimately calculated that he was still millions of years away from truly manifesting. Thus, the frequency of the celestial kings' dark upheavals increased, as they sought to eradicate all beings across the realms to thwart Ji Xian's future emergence. Hearing this, Ji Xian felt somewhat speechless, even then. His name had already been etched into the divine steel, drawing the attention of others. He marveled at the strength of his destiny, transcending the ages. Shirtian continued. "At that time, my cultivation was at the realm of celestial kings. I could not bear the suffering of sentient beings. Yet I was powerless against the immense pressure exerted by the celestial kings. Thus, I turned my gaze toward the celestial monument, contemplating the intentions of the benefactor, hoping that in the days to come, you may swiftly rise to put an end to this bloodshed and turmoil. The humble monk has located the supreme celestial artifact, the celestial suppression list, and employed secret methods to dismantle it into several fragments. In exchange for the sacrifice of my own cultivation, I have deduced the world in which you may emerge. However, due to the overwhelming complexity of the causal relationships involved, I could not ascertain the precise location. Consequently, I refined my physical form, dispersing countless blood seeds across the myriad realms, all in search of that most probable world. Fragments of the celestial suppression list scattered alongside me to multiple worlds, one of which fell into the 9 heavens and 10 earths, transforming into a divine monument of the heavenly Tao, which is the divine list you hold in your hands. When you emerged, a celestial king faintly sensed something amiss and dispatched numerous celestial beings to suppress you. Yet, due to the existence of the celestial suppression list, they could not discern your exact position. Ultimately, only a quasi-celestial king fortuitously stumbled upon you, but was intercepted by me. Ji Xian immediately thought of the celestial lord Chengzhe, who undoubtedly served a certain celestial king. The celestial kings refrained from directly executing him, possibly out of caution regarding certain causal intricacies. The interaction between the fragments of the celestial suppression list and the divine list within the Tiantian civilization was the fundamental reason for my discovery of this realm. Over the past several millennia, Shi Tian acted as a guide. His influence was evident during my sanctification, my acquisition of the divine list, and my confrontation with celestial Lord Chengzhe. The monks of the 9 heavens and 10 earths often speak of the ancient monk Shi Tian, whose countless incarnations traverse the world to repay the debts of human connections. Yet, perhaps only Ji Xian in this moment comprehends that all of Shi Tian's actions were orchestrated for our encounter, to convey the message of salvation. I have finally found you. The words of the dark-tainted Emperor Shi Tian echoed in Ji Xian's mind as he transformed into a cascade of radiance, showering the mortal realm. After tens of thousands of years, Ji Xian finally grasped the meaning behind those words. As time unfolded, the benefactor gradually matured. Frankly, the pace of this growth is astonishing. A quasi-celestial king under 100,000 years old, truly worthy of being the foremost name upon the celestial monument. Shi Tian marveled. Ji Xian smiled silently and engaged in further discourse with Shi Tian, ultimately inquiring whether he could restore his physical form. Shi Tian shook his head, stating, "The humble monk has disrupted the grand causal pathways, intervening in countless vast universes, and has suffered significant backlash. The mere existence of this fragment of my primordial spirit is already a considerable feat. As for restoring my corporeal form, I cannot dare to indulge in such aspirations." At this juncture, Shi Tian raised his arm, and a beam of golden light emanated from his fingertip, merging into the divine list and the metallic fragments. He declared, "This embodies the original power of the supreme celestial artifact, the celestial suppression list. To prevent other celestial kings from discovering it, I have temporarily sealed it within my primordial spirit. Now that you have grown, I bestow it upon you. For the time being, I can only release these 2 portions, as my primordial spirit is gravely diminished, with much of it lost." Ji Xian absorbed none of the latter statements. After that power surged into the divine list and the metallic fragments, his consciousness fell into a state of daze. Moments later, the divine list revived, and Ji Xian awakened. An indescribable surge of excitement flooding his heart. He turned his gaze inward to the myriad divine trees, where vast amounts of primordial purple energy were bubbling, signaling a breakthrough. The shackles of his quasi-immortal king cultivation were loosening. Chapter 462. The opportunity of the immortal king benefactor. Benefactor? Shi Tian called out to Ji Xian, whose eyes were clouded with confusion. "I'm here," Ji Xian replied, his eyes sparkling as he emerged from his reverie. "Benefactor, what has happened to you? The river of time is fraught with peril. Many immortal kings may be watching you. You must not let your guard down," Shi Tian admonished. Ji Xian waved his hand dismissively and replied, "I am fine. I need to locate the fragments of the divine list. They are of great use to me." After a moment of contemplation, Shi Tian raised his golden Buddhist hand and inscribed several coordinates in the void, corresponding to 3 million years ago, 7 million years ago, and 9 million years ago. "This represents all the fragment locations I can recall," he stated, "to conceal the great secrets and evade the scrutiny of the immortal kings. The divine list has scattered throughout the river of time. My physical body has merged into the river, and my primordial spirit has suffered damage. I can scarcely remember much. But these fragments are the limit." Ji Xian focused intently on the coordinates, and after a brief contemplation, he began to draw the currents of the river of time, connecting the various temporal points like threading a needle. In an instant, portals of void appeared above the river, and Ji Xian manifested several strands of his primordial spirit, traversing time to forcibly arrive in the corresponding worlds. His objective was clear: to seize the fragments of the divine list for his own use. Within the span of an hour, 3 fragments of the divine list were retrieved, soaring through the portals and racing towards Ji Xian. Who dares to act so presumptuously? A powerful aura surged from behind the fragments, as 3 immortal path experts relentlessly pursued, vowing to reclaim the divine list fragments. "Which world do you hail from, immortal, that you would audaciously traverse the river to steal my possessions?" The leader, a formidable quasi-immortal king, emerged from a demon civilization from 9 million years ago. His true form a golden lion. Roar. The roar of the lion reverberated through the heavens, causing the once calm waters of the river to churn violently. The golden mane lion king shook his head, his long hair cascading like a waterfall, each golden strand stretching across the expanse of a galaxy. Behind him, Two more Immortal Path experts appeared, standing alongside the Golden Mane Lion King, their gazes fixed fiercely upon Jixian. Friends, have you also come to exact vengeance upon this rogue for stealing our clan's treasures? The Golden Mane Lion King inquired of his companions. Indeed, they both nodded in unison, their fierce eyes never leaving Jixian. Very well, let us unite and subdue this individual. The three quickly reached a consensus. The fragments of the divine list were far too precious to lose. Jixian held 5 fragments aloft, his voice cold as ice. Gentlemen, stand down. These fragments of the divine list do not rightfully belong to you. The Golden Mane Lion King bellowed in rage. Not ours? Then do they belong to you? These are fragments of a supreme immortal artifact, which only a supreme immortal king can refine. Why should we yield, as quasi-immortal kings? Jixian beckoned, summoning Shurtian forth. The golden monk gracefully advanced, each step embodying the essence of lotus flowers, as celestial sounds resonated throughout the flowing river. In an instant, your arrogant demeanor was extinguished. The golden-haired Lion King recognized Shurtian at first glance. Long before his ascension, Shurtian had already established himself as a formidable figure in the realm of immortals. It was Shurtian who had brought the fragment of the immortal suppression list to their world, thereby enhancing the environment for the demon race's ascension. One could assert that without Shurtian, he would never have achieved immortality. Nevertheless, I shall not retreat. As fleeting memories of the past surged forth, the gaze of the golden-haired Lion King hardened once more. The immortal suppression list undoubtedly harbored profound secrets pertaining to the breakthrough of immortal kings, and it could not be relinquished so easily. Attack! The 3 immortal masters surged forth with a thunderous momentum, launching a ferocious onslaught within the river, each movement altering the course of history across the vast heavens. Unyielding in ignorance, Jixian stood up abruptly, his eyes flashing like lightning. With a sweeping motion of his grand sleeves, a longbow exuding an aura of shadows appeared in his grasp. The Xianming powder vanishing bow. I shall commence with you. Drawing the bowstring and knocking an arrow, Jixian aimed at the foremost assailant. This was a practitioner in the mid-stage of true immortality, clad in flowing robes, with white hair and beard, wielding an 8 trigrams immortal sword. With a single swing, the sword unleashed a tremor felt by all beings. A mythic-era celestial sovereign materialized within the river, seated atop the 33 heavens, wielding a treasured pagoda as a weapon against Jixian. Boom! As the white arrow was released, the river quaked, and the majestic celestial sovereign's illusory form shattered, the treasured pagoda also disintegrating into nothingness. The elder wielding the sword was struck by an arrow. Celestial blood gushing to great heights, the potent shadowy energy immediately spreading throughout his being, shattering his and causing his body temperature to plummet. I shall be incapacitated. The elder was filled with dread, hastily swinging his sword to sever the arrow lodged in his shoulder. Clang! Crack! 2 metallic sounds echoed. The 8 trigrams immortal sword was violently shattered by the white arrow, fragments of the sword cascading like shards of a broken mirror. Boom! The elder's body then exploded, transforming into a dazzling rain of light. Collect! Jixian raised the primordial purple gold gourd, uncorking it, and all the radiant essence was drawn within. To break through to the immortal king realm, he required immense energy as support. Relinquishing sacrifice, the fruits of an immortal's path were the most favorable choice. Meanwhile, the golden-haired Lion King, who had been charging forward, abruptly halted. Upon seeing the longbow in Jixian's hands, his pupils trembled, and his cascading hair stood on end, all bristling with alarm. An intact, supreme immortal artifact. Depart! Without a moment's hesitation, he turned to flee. With a supreme artifact in hand, who could oppose him? Another immortal, having realized the gravity of the situation, recalled all his magical treasures and forcefully tore through the river, attempting to escape. Fleeing? Who can escape? Jixian remained composed, his hands gracefully swirling, leaving behind multiple afterimages in his wake. Boom! Once more, a breathtaking arrow soared through the sky, piercing the chest of that immortal. The immortal conjured a purple talisman, which ignited rapidly, emanating a powerful life force that enveloped him. This was a life-saving talisman. He aimed to evade the deadly assault. The cycle of 6 realms. Jixian's eyes emitted a tempest of raging lightning, and the formidable power of reincarnation surged forth like an unfathomable ocean. In an instant, 6 magnificent celestial monuments manifested, towering to immeasurable heights, firmly suppressing the immortal who had invoked the life replacement talisman. At this moment, no matter how transcendent the methods employed, salvation was unattainable. The 6 paths of reincarnation governed all, and none could evade such an onslaught. Gather! The Hunyuan purple gold gourd soared autonomously, cascading a stream of violet starry rivers that refined this immortal into a concentrated essence, drawing him within. I shall return to my own realm, and vow to offend no more. The golden-haired Lion King found himself cornered by the 6 celestial monuments, paralyzed with fear. Gazing up at the towering divine tablets, he was struck with awe. To command reincarnation was an incomprehensible power. Jixian, brandishing the Xianming demolishing bow, descended gradually. He placed a foot upon the golden-haired Lion King's head, and with a resounding crack, that colossal head, akin to a galaxy, shattered into countless fragments. To act so tyrannically. Slaying immortals incurs immense karmic retribution. Can you bear the weight of it? The golden-haired Lion King roared in despair, a being of great stature now trodden underfoot. Ji Xian retorted, Karma? What nonsense. Even if I were to spare you now, you would ultimately perish in the chaos of darkness millions of years hence. It is all preordained. Better to be a fine ingredient for my brew than to be reduced to mere carrion. With a single-pointed gesture, he pierced the golden-haired Lion King's primordial spirit, executing this quasi-immortal king. A bountiful harvest. Ji Xian gazed at his brimming wine gourd, a flicker of delight crossing his countenance. With the celestial domain in ruins and time itself unraveling, it was no small feat to locate immortals untainted by the encroaching darkness. Subsequently, he and Shi Tian departed the great river, arriving upon an ancient star. Master, is this amount of fragments sufficient? Should you require more, I can procure additional ones. Shi Tian inquired. Earlier, he had harbored concerns that Ji Xian might act recklessly regarding the fragments of the immortal suppression list. However, after witnessing the recent battle, he realized those fears were unfounded. That is ample. With these, I can deduce the locations of the other fragments. Ji Xian retrieved the celestial mechanism map, arranging the 5 fragments of the immortal suppression list upon it, ready to calculate their whereabouts. Chapter 463, Setting the Trap upon the celestial mechanism map. The 5 fragments of the immortal suppression list were meticulously aligned. Ji Xian harnessed his immortal level mana, intent on deducing the locations of the remaining fragments. As he commenced, the white map began to tremble violently. The supreme immortal artifact awakened, its celestial might surging forth. And the ancient star upon which Ji Xian stood was instantaneously reduced to powder. Stabilize. Ji Xian commanded sharply, wielding the map to suppress the fragments of the immortal suppression list, restoring order to the tumult. Lines of text manifested, detailing the temporal nodes and holders of the remaining fragments. To Ji Xian's astonishment, the majority of the fragments resided in the possession of a single individual. How intriguing. That ancient figure, the celestial king Haozuan, is also collecting these fragments, perhaps having foreseen something that threatens to sever my destiny? As he scrutinized the names revealed upon the map, Ji Xian fell into deep contemplation. Haozuan, the Immortal King, is a formidable being at the mid-level of the Immortal King realm and one of the supreme rulers of the myriad realms during the primeval era. Infamous for being the perpetrator behind the sacrifice of countless lives in the immortal domain. His current position lies upstream in the River of Time, approximately 45 million years ago, with the objective of seeking the remnants of an unparalleled immortal artifact, which he intends to forge into a top-tier Immortal King weapon to elevate his own realm. Ji Xian recalled his previous calculations, realizing that Haozuan's ultimate goal appeared to be the same, an exceptional immortal artifact. It seems their objectives have clashed, thus, he must devise a method to lure this old foe over for a decisive confrontation. Ji Xian had harbored resentment towards Haozuan for quite some time, having been repeatedly disturbed since his arrival in the immortal domain. Unfortunately, Haozuan was exceedingly cautious, refraining from direct engagement and even withholding his own name from Ji Xian. Were it not for the presence of the celestial mechanism diagram, Ji Xian might still be unaware of the identity of his tormentor. System. May I inquire if the celestial mechanism diagram can divulge false celestial secrets? If so, can it transmit to a specific individual? Reply to the host. Yes. The celestial mechanism diagram can calculate all celestial secrets and disclose them as well. During disclosure, specific individuals can be designated. Excellent. At that moment, Ji Xian gazed at the diagram in his hands, a peculiar smile curling upon his lips. Master, have you fallen victim to the backlash of the law of causality? Shi Tian inquired, a hint of unease in his voice, for Ji Xian's smile starkly contrasted with his usual demeanor. Ji Xian quickly regained his composure and shared his stratagem with Shi Tian. Gasp. Shi Tian inhaled sharply, his clasped hands trembling slightly. He leaned in closer to Ji Xian, whispering, is it true? Do you truly possess such means? The disparity between an immortal king and a quasi-mortal king is vast. One must not undertake actions without certainty. Ji Xian reassured him, rest assured. Shi Tian chose to place his faith in Ji Xian, nodding solemnly, his once pious hands inadvertently clenching into tight fists. He too harbored a desire to eliminate Haozuan, the very figure responsible for the chaos wrought upon the myriad realms in ages past. Had it not been for Haozuan's collusion with other titans to obliterate the immortal domain, he would not have been compelled to refine his physical form into a blood seed, scattering it across the realms in search of hope, resulting in his current wretched state. He, Shi Tian, was once an immortal king. However, the execution of this plan would require significant efforts from the monk, as this unparalleled immortal artifact was once under his dominion, Ji Xian stated. Of course, Shi Tian exclaimed, rising abruptly with unwavering conviction, the golden light emanating from his form quaking intensely, his emotions surging. Subsequently, the two settled into a meditative posture, with Ji Xian holding the celestial mechanism diagram, meticulously outlining the intricacies of their plan to Shi Tian. In essence, Ji Xian intended to convey false information regarding his failure to transcend the immortal King Tribulation to Hao Zuan. Given Hao Zuan's extreme caution, he would undoubtedly conduct multiple calculations to verify the authenticity of the information. Yet, the functional capabilities of the celestial mechanism diagram transcended cultivation levels. No matter how formidable Hao Zuan was, he would be unable to perceive the trap Ji Xian had set. Of course, this alone would not suffice to compel Hao Zuan to personally arrive. Shi Tian would need to invoke the primordial power of the Immortal Suppression List, thereby exposing the 5 fragments held by Ji Xian. The supreme celestial artifact is of immense significance, and considering it consists of 5 fragments, it is inconceivable that the esteemed celestial king would delegate